welcome to Shredded Cels episode 22. I am your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Matt Lunn.
Howdy, howdy.
Kenneth McNulty.
What'd you book?
What?
I thought we were going to keep going. I didn't know
Well, I was going to keep going, but it was just so startling, I had to stop.
It's from an Ego Raptor video. You wouldn't understand.
Oh, because I've never seen any of Ego Raptor. Of course. Okay, Jeremy Zajac.
Hi.
Some people might know of him as Jerbear, or more commonly known as...
Matt, when I say I know where you live, that's not an idle threat. That's a promise. I'm going to hunt you down and harm you.
We'll be roommates next year.
I know.
Best friends.
It wasn't as bad as the threat you gave me
Best
yesterday,
friends.
Jeremy.
Best
That was
friends.
horrifying.
We'll bake cookies together.
tell you later.
Tomodachi.
And we also have, you can hear the voice of Clara Heimberger
Hi.
and Andrew Gleason.
Hi there.
Very good. And for those of you who are listening to us for the first time, we are part of Tech Heads, which is part of AVW Productions and media organization here at Ohio University. Tech Heads does all sorts of cool podcasts, blog content, video content on video games.
I'll give you background music.
Oh, I see. Well, that works too. It's like the celebration. We're holding the Tech Heads logo above us.
Hey, Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy's reproaching him. So, yeah, we're pretty cool here at Tech Heads. And before we get into the main discussion for this week, which will be the show Madoka Magica, why don't we talk the animation we've watched since last time? For myself, Andrew, and Clara, that will be what we've watched since last week, since we were on last week's podcast. For the rest of you, that'll basically be the animation that you've watched since break. So, Clara, why don't you go first?
Not a lot anime-wise, just because I've had to do a lot of work for class, but on my random adventures on YouTube, I've been rewatching the Batman Piderman series, which is the cutest thing in the world. And another animation that Lindsay Small and Alex Buttera, I don't know how to say his last name, that they did called Super Go, which is hysterical and just, it flows so well. I'm like, I think they rotoscoped it, but I'm really not sure. I need to send them a message and be like, hey, how did you do this? Because it's just so amazing. And I love their work so much, and I wish they would make more Batman Piderman, but I think they're done for now. And that's pretty much all I've been watching.
Why not?
Andrew?
We've just been continuing on the Digimon track. We've been
So jealous of that.
We've been marathoning the first season, and we're almost done.
Wait, you said you were, how far were you?
Me and my friends.
Okay.
We are
So
at
you're pretty-
the fourth arc of
Yeah,
the
you said that
series.
last time I asked.
So I've got to ask, how many times have you just wanted to reach through the television and just strangle Ty?
Not as much, because we are totally shipping Matt and Ty together because they keep holding each other's hands, and we think it's adorable.
It happens.
I'm infecting him.
You're one of those people, aren't you?
No, it ships itself. It's not like our choice. They're always holding each other's hands. We can't not.
This show's egging it on almost.
Yeah. Jeremy, I know it's been a while since you've been on the podcast. In your absence, Clara and Andrew over here have gone crazy with the shipping conversations. I can't squell it.
Score.
Do I need to get out the chain of command?
Shut it down now!
Jeremy's here to keep order.
You can't take down my armada.
Wait. Is that a chain you gonna beat us with until we understand who's in command?
I see I'm not the only person here who's seen Serenity.
I am.
I just got that again.
Firefly is my favorite
I
show
love
ever,
Firefly.
So
We're just too dang pretty to stop doing it.
You can talk, Matt.
Okay,
It's okay.
I just saw Dr. Horrible's sing-along vlog the other day.
Oh,
so good.
For the first time.
So good.
I saw
The second one's coming out this year or next year?
There's a second one?
Yeah, there's a picture last year they released of Nathan Fillion and Neil Patrick Harris, and it just showed them in their outfits and said "Enough said," and it's from their official website. They've been filming it for the past year.
I know it's going to be. Exciting.
I'm so excited.
That's
I'm
pretty
excited.
cool. As for myself, I decided to rewatch basically the entirety of the series of Fate Zero after the last podcast, just because I felt the urge, and because the one, the whole show itself is great, but definitely my favorite episode is episode 11, when they just sit down and talk about the Grail and their whole philosophies. There's an awesome action bit at the end, but most of that episode is just talking, but really lets the dialogue and the good story and characters just carry that episode. And Ryder, his awesomeness cannot be contained within that 25 episode series. He's just so great. Love him so much. And then what have you been watching since the break, Matt?
Lots.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
So let's see here. So to start off, I watched Anohana, which was a Moe show that I actually liked. I loved it.
The world is gonna end.
Oh, I know
folks.
it's gonna end. It was like 11 episodes, and it's like I gotta buy this shit. Oh, I mean, I gotta buy this stuff. Buy this stuff.
Is that why you curl your hair now?
No. The point is, it was great. I probably apologize, Alex, but the point is, it was great. I bought it. I bought the Blu-ray set because it's a really nice box. It's like this big for like $50, which is sad, but it was totally worth it. Favorite anime of 2012.
Wait, what was it?
That's pretty lovely.
It beat Baccano for me, so that's saying stuff.
And that's
Oh
as
no,
in-
that doesn't count for you, Jeremy, because you don't like Baccano.
Well, as in anime that you've watched in 2012, not anime that came out in 2012.
Well, it came out on DVD in 2012.
Right, but Baccano didn't.
No.
So it's not fair compared to Baccano.
Okay, fine. Let's see how this is.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Continue.
And I've been watching some more animes like One Piece. I'm about to get to Ace's execution.
Uh-huh.
He's gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
so happy.
Geez, spoilers.
Well, I think everyone should know. I went to a HyoCon last year, and this person had this shirt that had like all these famous deaths. It was like Kamina, and it was like Ace.
don't
It's just
remind me
basically
about
any
Kamina.
major anime, and it's like death, and it's like, thanks for spoiling.
Don't remind me about Kamina. That
Well,
was
there's
sad.
a shirt of spoilers.
Yeah, that's what
Like
it was.
Soylent Green, like
You
all
know-
those things.
You know what though? The difference is though between Kamina and Ace is that everyone knew Ace was gonna die. It was pretty obvious he was gonna die. With Kamina, it was like, oh my god,
Yeah, that
what
was
the hell
that
just
was
happened?
way out of left field.
Yeah, that was that just came out of goddamn nowhere.
And it was
Only mentally inept. Who's
awesome.
commenting again?
You're in Logan.
Oh, I didn't see
You
that.
need to watch
Yeah,
that.
that's-
Yeah,
because
okay.
it's awesome.
You're
Oh,
terrible.
you gotta
human
spoil it
being.
for me.
Well, you'll.
Whoopsies.
Oops.
It's good.
It's great.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
still
it.
go
It's
watch
Or
it.
the ending sucks.
Yeah.
But
What
not
do you
as
think?
badly as the ending to The Legend of Korra.
I like. the
Wait,
name
you
Gurren
don't?
Lagann.
I don't remember you disliking the ending of Gurren Lagann.
I disliked everything up until the last 5 minutes was great.
Oh,
And then the last 5 minutes happened.
what was the last when he was like Gandalf?
Are you
or-
talking?
No, the stuff that led into that too. The stuff where that his crappy reasoning. Oh, we can't bring her back. She's in the past now. What?
Oh,
right.
What?
I don't know.
That is you literally have the power of God at your
He
disposal.
is
Oh,
God.
she's in the past
no.
now.
No, he is God, and like straight up God.
Who's God?
The main character, basically.
Kami-sama.
God?
You'll watch.
Sort of.
I'll see.
Watch
see.
Gurren Lagann, and
Okay.
if I will watch
Yes,
it with
you guys
because
get
it's
it.
awesome.
Come with
Again,
me.
Still not as bad as the ending to
So-
the Legend of Korra.
Continuing what I've seen, I also
Canon
started
pairings.
the
one cares about him.
the movie quadrilogy called Marduk Scramble, the first compression, the first film in the series. It was quite disturbed. I think you saw it, Alex. There is a character, and he says he's like, my name is. He goes like, I'm well done, the pussy hat.
Oh, that.
What?
There are two kind of people in this world.
What are they?
There are normal people, and then there's those people.
I just
We
say
like
I
those people.
laughed and laughed. It was good. It was a good movie. I was quite happy with it. I mean, that guy was weird, and I'm not. His name is pretty literal. We're just gonna just leave it there.
Sounds like a James Bond movie.
It does actually.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was actiony. It got guns and was sad.
Let me ask you a question. Would his hand be a James Bond girl?
Ba-dum-bum.
Ouch.
So
Anything else?
no, that's
made
about
two
it.
jokes in one there.
Not too much, but just been catching up on the One Piece.
The One Piece. Where is the One Piece?
I am the One Piece.
Mike, I actually had a theory in my head. What if Luffy's the One Piece because he's his son?
No.
You just got that all wrong.
Yeah, that's not even
incorrect.
I've
possible.
never seen the series really, so I'm just saying that.
Oh, there's a spoiler that I want to totally say. I
I-
just watched that last episode with it.
Oh yeah. Well, now.
Wait, is it his mom?
No.
I'm already betting right now that he took his treasure and he melted it all down into a giant rock and then sunk it at the bottom of the ocean where they started their adventure.
Yeah. I have
Just a giant middle finger.
I have theories on what the One Piece will be, but this is not a One Piece podcast.
It's
We're
No,
gonna
it's
go
not.
into
It's
it.
about magical girls.
That's right.
Yippee.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Kenny, what have you been watching?
Well, I am watching all stuff on Mondo Entertainment. So there's this lovely show called Deep Space 69.
Oh, yes.
Which is imagine Captain Kirk in his epic masculine state with a koala sidekick, and it's really funny.
What?
And it's all
Really?
about the sexiness.
Yes. It's like there's the famous line was, I can only take 2 non-sexy things at once. Give me time. And my other favorite thing I just found, the Bravest Warriors. Something by Pennington Ward he made other than Adventure Time. And it's with Cartoon Hangover on YouTube. So it's like his version of, like, he can make a show that's not filtered really, and it's really good. So the new episode's coming out tonight. So I'm watching that after the podcast is over.
No, very good.
That's what I've been watching.
Cool. And what about you, Mr. Jeremy?
All right, let's see here. Over the break, I saw Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Yes.
That was probably the second best movie I saw this year.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
What was the first?
What would you say is first?
The Hobbit.
Django
Oh.
Unchained.
Yeah, no, hands down.
It was so good.
That was one of Tarantino's lesser films.
I thought it was his best.
Oh,
The
really?
Avengers.
A lot of people have been saying it's great.
Yeah, whoopty.
Yeah,
Whoopty.
I like
whoopty.
Oh,
The
Django
Hobbit.
Unchained?
Yeah. That, The Hobbit, and
Yeah.
What about
Django
the
Unchained.
Avengers?
Ralph were the best movies last year.
The Avengers.
Avengers
And
was
the Avengers.
was
The
good.
Avengers was
Not
okay. Speaking of superhero
Keep
movies
bringing
coming
up
out,
last
guess what movie I'm absolutely not looking forward to?
The new
Man of
Batman
Steel.
movie?
Man of Steel.
I don't know.
That was-
I wasn't really excited for it, but I saw the trailer and it looks promising.
The problem is that I don't like Superman.
I don't like
Neither do
Superman
I.
either, but the trailer looked good.
Because
and
it's
I-
like, yeah,
Well, hopefully
yippee,
it won't be
skippy,
like a Dead
you're
Island
invincible.
trailer
I
then.
know, I've never liked it. His only thing is
Don't talk about that.
Hey, I want to see The Great Gatsby.
Yes.
That's-
Read
Gatsby.
the-
Gatsby.
I love
Read the book
Gatsby.
first.
I've
I
read the
have
book.
read I've, English
I
class.
think everyone should have read the book, or they're
If
not
you didn't,
American.
You didn't read, yeah.
Not American.
Come on, F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Best thing a woman can be is
Get
a
it right
fool.
eventually.
We'll keep trying.
All right.
I started rewatching Batman the Animated Series.
Ooh,
nice.
how is that?
so good.
I've never seen it before. Like
Oh.
a few.
Well,
The
I
rage
know,
face.
Seriously, how are you going to see Batman?
I am literally I've got all these horrible things I need to say to you, but I'm not going to. But I will say this
You
much.
should invite me to your place to watch them on your TV.
Dude, I invite you over all the time. Do you
Oh.
like not get my text messages?
Best
or you just
friends.
I just assume that you ignore me, or it's just like lost in your
okay,
hair.
when have you sent me the last text message? It's not been this since we've been back.
let's bring up the phone.
Hold on, folks. Before we do Magica, we have the Jeremy Hour.
I just realized I left my phone at home.
Jeremy, no.
Oh well. You know.
Wait, how'd you send that text to Alex?
I sent it before I left.
Came from
Whoa.
inside the house.
I've not been a text from you, sir.
All right.
I've
Well.
texted you at least 3 times now.
Really?
Yeah,
This is
Really?
really.
Well, they're gonna fight it out after the podcast.
No,
No,
we're
no,
not-
no. So, I have a friend named Adam, and he's done the same thing with me, and he says he's texted me, and I've never gotten them.
Maybe
Oh, it's
something's wrong with your phone then.
Yeah,
No, it's something wrong
happens
with
to me.
Verizon.
I don't, anyway, what else have I been watching? Oh yeah, I rewatched Legend of Korra, and the more I rewatch it, the less I like it.
Yeah. Well, I was interested because you were saying like how the worst ending was Legend of Korra.
I've seen
Korra
shows with worse
sucks.
endings, but it's bad.
It jumps the shark, a good bit.
Well, they also weren't planning on a second season, so I understand. But still, why do they have to punch
It was
me
a
in the
very
face with
Deus-
all of that canon? Why?
Hey, guys, guess
what? Happy rainbows and unicorn ending!
It's
Yay!
still the
I
one
love
dark
you,
moment.
Mako, even though you have no character depth.
Well, but you have to think about it from
Mako,
Oh, God,
I'm
here
pregnant.
we go again.
Shut up, Asami. Can't you see that Korra's mildly upset right now?
Poor Asami. I love her.
I know.
I tell you, she's going to become the villain in season 2.
No,
Yes.
I don't want that.
Is
She
Not
has
gonna
the
happen.
intent. Her
Honestly, I had a
father-
hard time cheering for Korra the whole season, and the more it went on, the less and less I liked her because as much as Amon was a hypocrite, he kind of had a point the whole time.
Yeah.
The Avatar wasn't holding balance. She was.
I thought
she
it
was
was just
upholding the status quo.
I thought it was because it was Stephen J. Blum that just completely made him so awesome.
Well, that was
that's
part of it.
I liked him. Mom was
He was a cool character up until they revealed the fact. Oh yeah, he's a bloodbender. Oh, okay.
And attractive.
Yeah. Well, the whole stigma of him being
Oh, yeah.
invincible without bending was awesome.
That would have been. I feel like that would have been better if they had actually gone into something with that. But it also, this is something else that everyone has brought up. Where was the gunpowder? How did they jump from? How did
Oh,
they?
you pointed that out.
How did they
Yes.
jump from? How did they go straight from steam to combustion engines and just completely skip over? Gunpowder should have come before everything else too. They don't even have explosives really in the Avatar world.
That's because they have fire bending.
That doesn't make sense though.
It makes all the sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's anime. We don't have to explain
The
anything.
Elder Scrolls series has been going on for about 5,000 or 4,000 years, and they only have
No, it
magic
hasn't.
in that. Yeah. it's
No, it
been-
hasn't. Every single game up until the jump from Oblivion to Skyrim, like all the games
Scrim.
before that were 40 years. Then the
Well, that's the
Skyrim
40 years.
jump was 200
Well, that's
years.
the third era. The first and second era about 800 years or
believe
something
it.
long. It was a huge
forgot
stance.
it.
That's Kenny, it's a little different though because the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages as a whole lasted for a while, so it's not. So
I forgot about that. My argument's invalid. Okay, I forgot about that one.
Alex.
Yes?
mentioned everyone can
I
use
forgot
magic.
it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Animu.
it's that whole thing, like bending and magic.
You forgot?
But bending
Steins Gate.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, so 2 quick comments. We'll go to you, Matt. All right. Number 1, Kenny, you need to get close to the microphone when you talk.
Got it.
And number 2, with the whole ending thing with Takora, because I want to talk about this and then move on, because we're spending a lot of time on this. But I would agree with you. I do think the ending definitely has some problems, but I feel like if they had known that they had a second season to work with, the ending would have been different. As it was, like that's why it feels like the climax of like a whole series.
But it's still a bad ending, regardless.
Deus Ex.
It's regardless, even though they were trying to wrap, they did a poor job of even if it had been one season, it still would have been a poor job of wrapping it up.
Yeah, in certain respects, like
Yippee skippy! I'm just gonna get my powers back. Whee!
But
Happy
you get to
rainbows
see
for everyone except
Aang.
the bad guys.
You
They
get
get
to
blown
see
up.
Aang.
My name is Aang.
well, but
He's
Aang
so
was
lovely.
cool.
the whole thing.
Why are we talking about Ong?
He's
Thank you. See,
I'm a
he doesn't
punch you.
no Shyamalan talk here.
No.
Just to remind everyone, that is
I'm
literally the
allowed to
only
ding
movie
dong.
I've ever gotten up and walked out of the theater on. Only one. And I sat through Aragon, people, so keep that in mind.
I hate Aragon.
Oh,
That was not a good movie.
I
That's
saw
rough.
I saw like the first half of the movie, and I've read the books, and I actually quite like the books, but the movie, something about it was really
The
awful.
movie's
Everything.
atrocious. The only good part about it is Jeremy Irons.
Was he Brahm?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, he was kind of cool.
he was spot on.
All right, and Matt, why don't you talk real quick about Steins Gate?
Steins Gate is awesome. It's making me drink Dr. Pepper now because of product placement, which is really sad. But it's so cool. I love
Yeah,
the main
that-
character. He's crazy. He's insane. He's a mad scientist, and he knows it.
Does he drink Dr. Pepper?
Yes. He even says like, "There's no reason for alcohol. All I need is this bubbly, fuzzly like stuff." And it's just
Jeez, that's. I mean, in Code Geass, like they have the Pizza Hut pizzas all the time, but that's just like blatant. Like he's holding up the Dr Pepper
Oh
can
yeah,
to
he
your
drinks
face.
it all the time. He just drinks it all the time, and it's great
Yeah.
because the microwave is a time machine.
Yes,
I like the sound of this.
I do want to do Steins Gate at some point because I've heard that's like one of the best animes
It's
of
good.
2011.
No, it's good. It's good stuff. I happy with it.
Happy.
So I like magical girls and cats that
watching it
lie
now.
and manipulate you
That thing is the creepiest
No.
I've ever seen in
with
anime.
red eyes.
Oh.
Red eyes that hardly blink.
Pretty much.
I saw a cosplayer of Kyubey at con, and the first thing he said to me was, "Do you want to make a contract?" And I was like, "No, I'm."
Did you
leaving."
weep when you saw him? 'Cause I
I-
punched it.
Well, I was like, "Oh my god, I just finished Madoka." And he's like, "Do you want to make a contract?" And I was like, "No."
How about no, Scott?
No.
Real quick before we get into Madoka, I had a little news segment of something that important that happened over the break that we probably should have talked about last week, but I didn't think about it. Because in like around mid-December, Studio Ghibli announced that they were going to be making 2 more films and releasing them around summertime in Japan
yeah,
of this
that's right.
year.
Oh, and the new game
Miyazaki's-
came out too. Miyazaki's game.
Well,
Well, not
that-
Miyazaki
Studio
game,
Ghibli,
but-
sorry.
it came out in America, but it's been out in Japan for a while.
Yeah, I was late to the party.
Yeah, but no, for those of you who don't know, Hayao Miyazaki is going to be directing a movie for the first time since Ponyo. It's going to be called The Wind is Rising. And it's apparently based around a guy who was like the designer of a certain type of airplane.
Playing for World War II. Yep, I told you about that.
Yep, I
So
remember
I'm
that.
excited
Wait, it's a
for
World
it.
War II movie?
No, it's
Well-
about the guy who created the planes that the kamikazes
Oh, the
flew
Zeros?
into the thing. So it's going to be some emotional, like...
That's
I can't handle emotion.
Hey, it's going to be better than Ponyo. I'm sorry.
I
like ham!
I liked Ponyo.
I
It was
like
innocent. It was innocent
Look
and
at this
adorable.
dark soul.
At least you have emotion, otherwise you'd be Cubit.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, after this series, I felt like I had to remove my emotions
Or The
so
Nightmare
just
Before
to function
Cthulhu,
because
with those
everything
little-
everything just
That
hurts.
sounds fun. I like it.
the series is
Nightmare
making us
Before
into a...
Cthulhu?
Yeah, that sounds fun.
No, that's the guy. That's the Ponyo's father guy who's like
What are we talking about? Oh,
the Nightmare Before Cthulhu from
Cthulhu.
Yeah, well, it's in what is his name?
The Nostalgia Critic.
yeah, when he does his review of
oh,
Ponyo.
he did one of those.
Yeah, he did over Ponyo,
you
and
didn't-
it's like,
I
what if
thought we
Tim
watched that
Burton
in your room.
directed a Super Mario Sunshine film? And I'm like, I would totally go see that.
I would see that
I
too.
would not because I'm tired of Tim Burton.
Yeah.
I am too.
I said it.
Yeah, his
Oh,
recent,
no,
Said it,
no,
I'm
no,
not
I've been
taking it back.
Oh, I've been done with him for a while now.
yeah, his recent work hasn't been up to snuff. And then we also have the second film, which is directed by Isao. How do you say his first name? Isao Takahata, however it is.
Asao Takahata.
Yeah, and it's called The Tale of Princess Kaguya. And he's the guy who directed Grave of the Fireflies. He's sort of been like Miyazaki's second-hand man throughout this whole
Which I just bought on Blu-ray
situation.
last night. So
Grave of the Fireflies.
the saddest film in the world.
That sounds depressing.
Hey, you know what? If you try to show that in my room, I swear to God, I will throw you out the window.
Why?
I've watched that movie once. I will never watch it again.
Not because
so
it's
sad.
bad, just because it's sad.
No, it's a good movie, but I was not ready for these emotions. I can risk any emotion, but I can't risk these emotions. Not again.
Not again.
I feel like I
never
need to
even
see
heard of
this.
Oh yeah.
Me neither.
Oh, it's a good movie, but it is
It's
soul-crushingly
This
sad.
is not a film you watch for entertainment. It's those films like if you're depressed or you just not even depressed, but you just like you need to put it in just to you want to visit again. It's great, but
If you're depressed, don't watch this movie because this might be the thing that pushes you over the edge.
No kidding.
That or witches.
And apparently, this film it's about this Princess Kaguya is a character from Japanese folklore who was discovered as a baby growing inside a glowing stalk of bamboo. So
What?
there you go. It's based on some sort of Japanese fairy tale, basically.
So baby bamboo babies?
Yes, baby bamboo babies.
Sounds awesome.
That's what it's all about.
Is it Kung Fu Panda?
I certainly hope not.
I hope so. Jack Black, another movie. I would love that.
Well, are they making a third one of those?
I'm pretty
probably.
sure.
I gotta believe it.
It's DreamWorks. They will milk that for all it's worth.
They
I
had
will not
three
say
Shreks.
anything
They had
about
4
DreamWorks
Shreks.
because
I
that might
found
be a
the fourth
future
one.
employment opportunity.
That's depressing.
Yeah, just
I will
you
neither-
don't need to
Yeah,
remember.
Shrek 1 and 2 is good, but
I can't say
That's-
anything bad.
The first Kung Fu Panda is enjoyable. I
Future
never watched the
employment
second one.
opportunity, DreamWorks.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
worth it.
Ice Age has always been mediocre, and it's
Yes, it is.
It's only ever been mediocre.
I don't mind bashing Fox Animation. Keep bashing.
I don't mind bashing
I
Fox
thought
in
that was
general.
DreamWorks.
I was gonna
No,
say.
no. It's Fox.
I'm a Firefly
Wait, which
fan.
movie?
Ice Age. It's all Fox.
I like
Go to bed,
the
lady.
first Ice Age. I really
I
enjoyed.
hated
We'll get
the
into
first
that.
one.
The
Therefore,
ones-
I've hated all of them.
Great
'Cause I
aliens.
never watched anymore.
Yeah, I got something wrong, folks. So it happens a lot.
So yeah, I would say all that we really know about the two films is like that little summary I gave, and then they have two little posters. The Kaguya one is like a very simplistic sort of style, and then the Miyazaki's one is this beautiful field and some woman like painting on the side of a hill. You know, looks very nice. So I'm personally more excited for the Miyazaki one.
Oh yeah, Mark mentioned something about a new One Piece movie.
What?
Oh yeah, well it's already come out in Japan. I think they will be releasing it in English at some point, but how long it takes them to dub, I don't know. But everybody seems to love it, so I really do want to see that when it comes out. Okay, so now we're actually get into the meat of the podcast, which is the show Madoka Magica.
Is it like a meat pie?
Not really. It's more like the sort of meat that you start off eating and it makes you happy, and then it takes away that happiness very abruptly.
So
You get
it's
Slim Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
No.
Like, this tastes so good. Why am I
so it's like eating Wendy's.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like Wendy's.
I like
I like
Wendy's
Wendy's.
too, but you start off happy, and then the more you get through
And
it,
then the after effect.
Yeah.
Sadness that it's gone. Oh.
maybe a better comparison would be Taco Bell.
Yes.
I
So-
know you-
hey, I love Taco Bell.
I love Taco Bell. You start out happy, but by the end you are.
Dude,
No, no, no.
Crave
You
cakes
feel
at White
pretty good
Castle.
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Ew, oh God, you have some nasty cravings, bro.
Wait,
No,
what?
I don't get
What
it.
did you say, Kenny?
Crave case, my friends love those.
I don't even think I've ever had those.
Don't.
They're-
Okay,
Ever.
I'll take your word for it.
Anyways, but
You've
yeah.
done that.
It
Okay.
was a series that, like, the theme song, we started, so it sounds uplifting, but reading the lyrics here, shaking off the darkness that closed in on me, like, it's really dark no matter what you do. So it kind of warns you in the beginning, but the first one was misleading. Like, the first 2 episodes were very, very normal.
They're cute.
And it seemed adorable until the 3rd episode hit, and I was warned, and guess what? Nope.
Yeah, but I think I told Kenny to
Downhill.
wait until he watched episode 3.
Because you were like, oh, this is so cute and stuff. And we're like,
Actually-
have you gotten to past... It was
And
Gretchen, too. We're like, have you gotten past episode 3? And I was like, it was
Yeah,
just bad.
and I was
Everything's broken.
I actually was just looking on YouTube today, and I saw somebody made one of those, you know, Hitler gets mad at blank, and they did it for Madoka Magica episode 3. And it's like apparently popular episode amongst the fans.
Is it
I
really?
can't imagine why.
So yeah, for the sake
What
of
happens in that episode? I wonder.
I don't know, and I'm gonna take away your
Sadness.
iPad now, Matt.
No, it
Yes.
was for science.
I don't care.
For science.
I
You
just like to let
monster.
everyone know it's an iPad Mini, so that makes
No, it's a Nexus 7.
Oh, it's a Nexus 7.
What?
Okay,
What happened
I
was-
thought that was an iPad Mini.
Just tell me the answers. I was asking Clara about Pokemon.
You can ask her after the podcast, Matt. But we're going to divide the Madoka Magica discussion into sort of 3 parts. The first 3 episodes being sort of the first part, following the intro and Mommy's story. And then the second one being Sayaka's whole story from episodes 4 to 9, and then Homura and Madoka's story from like the last few episodes. Jeremy, do you have to go then? Okay.
Am I bothering you?
Well, I thought your signaling was like, I have to go or something like that.
Whoa, is that Bakugan? Oh, never mind.
No.
Yes, for our listeners out there, Matt is playing through the episodes just to sort of remind himself because it's been a while since he's seen it. So if you hear Kenny making any random remarks, that's probably what it's about.
Kenny has a bald spot right now.
A little bit I do. Just ignore that.
All right, very good.
Just letting you
So
into
would you
our
like to
lives
start
right
our
now.
first 3 episodes?
Yes, that's the idea. All right. And I should mention that this is a anime series that came out in 2011 in Japan, and it was done by Studio Shaft, I believe it's called, the animation studio called Shaft. Apparently, this is their first like original series. Most of their other stuff has been like adapted. So, good on them.
Yeah,
for
Shaft.
doing
Shaft
this.
is notorious for a lot of the cute girl moe like shows. The only other show that I have seen from their Neko. I don't know. It's something about a vampire. Okay, no, that doesn't even make sense. Never mind. I'm just gonna shut up now. But something to do with vampires and like cute girl vampire. So
I don't even know.
it's all cute girl stuff. But with Madoka Magica, that's been one of their first big, whoa. Also, Bakumano.
Oh, Bakemonogatari or whatever it's
Godary or
called.
whatever. That franchise is also from Shaft. Both these series are notorious, especially Bakuman, whatever it's called. Bakuman.
No, not that.
The point is, one of the major things about this studio is during that production, like, they couldn't finish it because of budget. So what they did is, like, they put it on TV, and it still had, like, missing backgrounds, missing stuff. And then when they put it in the DVD Blu-ray releases, they would finally clean all that stuff up just because it was selling tons and tons and tons. So that's little Studio Shaft.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard about Bakemonogatari, and it just sounds too weird for me to get into.
Yeah,
personally.
it's one of those, no thanks. I'm good. I'll watch Madoka.
But I think part of the reason Madoka is the way it is because the writer for the show is a gentleman named Gen Urobuchi, who also happens to be the writer for Fate Zero.
Hey, tell me about that. Wait, he wrote all of this, or
Yeah, he's like the main script
I
writer.
wasn't sure if he had. Yeah, that's
So he did Fate Zero, and apparently there's a new series out called Psycho-Pass that he's also doing.
Oh, wait, this is the same guy?
Yeah.
What did he do before?
He did Fate Zero, this, and
Okay.
Psycho-Pass.
Yeah. Psychopaths, I
He's
got a
doing what he
poster
does.
of that. I've heard that's got very good reviews so far.
Yeah.
That's-
I saw somebody commenting that it was a very like psychologically interesting show.
Would you like me to go a
Sounds
little
fun.
note what it's about real quick? Just like 2 sentences on it.
Sure.
Basically, Psychopaths is like in a think Ghost in the Shell, like future
Yes.
dystopia, except
Less pretentious.
don't know about that, but it's a lot
have to
of
find
a lot
out.
of the coloring is really really dark. It's not very bright and cheerful colors. It's very dark and dark blues and just anything in the it's like the city at night. So it's supposed to be really good, but it's a bi shonen series where like most of the cast are these pretty guys and there's like one female. So
All
It's
the
one of those
pretty
types of
people.
shows. Nice pose there, Jeremy. So let's go into episode 1 of Madoka because, as Kenny was saying, especially in that first episode, where the first half of it is basically just the, Sayaka, Madoka, and Hitomi. That's the third girl's name. It's just them going to school
great
and
time.
doing, cute girl things. Like, I did quite like it how, like, that first opening shot is with Madoka, like, brushing her teeth right next to her mom, and they're, like, paralleling each other
Her
what they're
mom is
doing.
so hardcore.
she gave the strangest advice though at one point. Like it was good advice, but the way she worded it just sounded so weird.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that point in the episode. But I actually quite liked the mom character. She
She's
was
good.
supportive throughout for her.
See, I really like the dad. The stay-at-home dad was awesome.
Yeah.
he was so mellow.
He was. He's so nice the whole time.
Yeah.
And her little brother was cute. Like, normally I'm like, little children in animes are annoying and say like 3 things over and over and over again. But he was actually pretty literate.
Yeah, he can say things.
Yeah, well, and he wasn't like a main character, but so he's just able to.
Oh, we're going to talk about it at the end? I thought that was cute.
It was
That was
cute,
very
but
cute.
it also hurt really bad.
Every time he said it, you died a little more inside.
Yes.
Shot continually. It's not double tap. It was like quadruple tap.
Well, and apparently Gen Urobuchi was asked about that, and he even said it's just a figment of his imagination, like as a kid, and as he grows up, he'll forget about Madoka or won't believe that she's real.
What do you mean, Alex? Why wouldn't she be real? What happened?
Oh yeah, there is going to be mega spoilers for Madoka.
Mega spoilers. We need to do a...
All right, thank you. Now everyone's eardrums have been killed, so now they know to stay away.
Well, they can't hear anymore, so we can just keep talking about spoilers and
Spoilers.
conspiracies.
Indeed. And then it is interesting how the whole show starts off like giving you this impression that Homura is evil, because it just starts with Kyubey being chased and somebody shooting at her, and you just assume, well, cute white thing running away, about to die. We must cheer for it. It must be a good guy.
A white thing?
How about no again?
Whitest.
Whitest? This has got a very bad path, Alex. I don't like it.
I like your accent.
Yeah, really, what's going on?
I don't know what it is.
Well, what would you call Kyubey then, besides a white
He's a
demon
white,
creature
fluffy
thing?
kitty cat.
With lots of ear
With
fuzz.
red. With
Yeah, what is
bright
coming
red
out of his
eyes.
ears? Can we explain that?
I don't know.
Maybe they're like arms, but he just can't use them anymore.
Not in this world.
Ooh, he's evolved
What?
past
Yeah.
arms.
Well, they definitely change in size because sometimes they're small and other times like he extends them out and when he takes their soul out of their bodies and stuff.
I like taking soul.
I
just don't like
already
the-
gave our mega spoiler
I
warning.
know.
We did.
I just don't like the fact that he can be like, there's many of us. You've tried before.
So can we start our episode analysis? I'm ready to
No.
punch through this.
Okay.
I'm enjoying the series more than I'm reminiscing about it.
I totally agree.
Whatever that was.
It's like Sim speak.
He just had a
Harmy
stroke right
Patar,
there, folks.
Glark.
Look forking.
Nice. But yeah, what else about that first episode? I mean, what did you guys think of it in general, as far as how it
cool.
introduces us to the show? The one bit I do really love is when Mommy shows off her powers for the first time, you see like the hundreds of guns, that she somehow summoned around her, and they're all shooting at the familiars and
She
witches
was an
and
actual
such.
wizard in that episode.
Yeah.
You're a
Wizard.
wizard.
And I saw the way it was so
You're a
arbitrary
blizzard,
when she
Harry.
just picks up the guns and shoots them. But I'm like, you can shoot them all at once, but it's still awesome. So who cares?
Yeah.
It just makes it look cooler.
Yeah,
Single
Yes.
shot.
It's all about
All
aesthetics.
the witch fights have to be like the most craziest, insane, beautiful.
Like, it put me off in the beginning. I'm like, this is weird. I don't.
It was
Why
that's
is
what
it
it-
so
yeah,
2D?
It's like paper mache, 2D.
What?
See, that is
Little
romance.
pom poms with mustaches.
Yeah, that creeped me out. Like, how is this for shield? Wait, it's not. So
I
thought they were. I'm like, oh, they're like a little cute world. No, they're actually evil
with mustaches.
I-
with mustaches.
I thought that they were like cotton balls rather than mustaches.
Well,
I
it
mean,
was like-
mustaches. I mean the pom poms.
Well,
Yeah.
there was something fluffy, and they were cute, and they had mustaches.
That's true. Uh-oh, Kenny's dying.
No, okay.
Kenny died.
But no, they do a good job, and yeah, that's
Use a resurrect.
obviously for for a first time viewer who doesn't know like anything about the show going into it. They certainly surprise you when they go into the witch's realm and the animation just goes all crazy. I don't.
Wonky.
Is that like stop motion?
No. It's not stop motion. I mean, just look at it. Stop motion, if it would be if they actually took a physical camera and whatnot. Basically, it's like Gankutsu, the Count of Monte Cristo. You take random textures, except these are a lot more unique.
Right.
And yeah, just make it not in sync with the rest of the show's super smooth animation. Make it a little jerky.
Yeah, it was just really awkward at first. I got used to it, but it was just like.
Yeah, and the way the witches look was always pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought like they were gonna be like, witches with hats and brooms, and it totally was like,
Nope.
those aren't
Well,
witches.
See, I was
Well-
thinking Soul Eater, but nope.
Yeah,
not
and
at
I was
all.
like, oh, they look
Not
like the
at all.
magical girls, probably. They just look evil. And I was like picturing like what they would look like in their little
their giant-
magical dark girl outfits, but it wasn't even close.
2D monster things.
Wasn't even
Yeah,
close.
The music too. I love the main theme they play during the fights. It's so awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
It makes you
that
think
is
of Fate
cool.
Zero.
I mean,
that
there's
was
not a
play.
whole lot you can. I mean, it's just wonky, crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with you, Kenny, with the music comment. I do think listening to some of the stuff again, because I was rewatching some of the episodes with you, some of the music does get reused quite a bit, but the stuff that's there is like just so good that you don't really
It
mind.
pumps you up. That's why I like shows that have really good soundtracks for battle, and this one has a really good, like, whenever they're in the witch's realm, the music that plays.
Yeah. And obviously, like, we all love the orchestral, choirs and all that. Always gets everyone excited for a good
As
action
they say,
scene.
at a choir, the music sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in the first episode, like when Madoka was having her dream, I like how that was like a whole flashback type thing. Like, I don't know, because I was like, oh, this is like really intense for a first episode. Oh, wait, it was just a dream. And then in the end, you're like, no, it wasn't a dream. It's a flashback.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that is the first hint, that you get that this isn't a, normal cutesy moe girl sort of show, because that is a very creepy, weird opening.
I mean, one of my only major problems with this series, and I'm just gonna, was the decision: do I become a magical girl, or do I not? I mean, I do owe this series another rewatch through. I mean, talking about it, yes. When I talk about it, I am enjoying it more, reminiscing about it more, like I said, than when I actually went through and watched it the first time. I mean, I watched it through the first time just because, like, this is beautiful. I've heard so many good things. I want to see what the hype is. And I'll admit, the show's a little overhyped. I mean, it's not the grandest thing in the world, but
It hits your feels.
It hits your feels. It hits your feels, and it just animation and everything.
What are you doing?
The voice is bad.
I'm trying to do a Bill Cosby here, but that's
That
Bill
is not a
Cosby.
Bill Cosby. I'm
No,
sorry.
No. I'm trying. Effort. A for effort.
Bill Cosby.
With the jello and the pudding pops, and now you know what I'm talking about.
The magic and
But,
the
like,
girls. And
I wasn't any better than he was, but at least I had the right accent.
Sorry.
He's closer, at least. Closer.
I really loved Mommy's hair. It was adorable, and I was like, ringlets.
Super curled.
I love ringlets. I can't draw them, but I love them so much.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that hairstyle.
Really?
That ridiculous gravity-defying hairstyle.
It's anime. We don't have to explain nothing.
Explain nothing.
See, what I'm actually convinced of, it's not actually hair. It's actually a symbiotic worm that lives on their head.
Like I said, Jeremy, you should check out Steins Gate. It's all about timey-wimey stuff.
I mean,
Wimey. Always the timey wimey.
Wibbity wobbly.
Wibbity-wobbity.
nice. No, I would agree with that. And
Oh, Jeremy thinks he's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. How
I think Jeremy was simulating the hair attacking poor Kenny over there.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
the first victim.
See, what I imagine is
not kidding.
since those characters with the weird hair, like the really, really, really weird hair,
Like
we never
Yugi?
had. What?
Like Yugi.
Oh.
Yeah,
seriously.
since we never actually see
Spiky
him
hair.
ever eating, what I honestly think what happens is the hair actually just captures insects in the air, it eats them, and then it transfers some of the nutrients into Yugi.
That would make sense.
So his hair is like a living Venus flytrap.
It explains the purple streaks in it that you never know how it's natural.
I guess.
He has like purple, golden, and black hair all yeah, just
You know.
We saw
Who's his hairstylist? Gotta get
Either that, or the other thing is though it's not that's actually not hair. It's actually part of his skull.
that
He's a
makes more sense.
conehead.
It's like a triceratops.
Your childhood is forever changed.
No. My childhood forever changed because we saw a picture of somebody like cosplaying as Yugi, and they did the hair. I'm like, that image now haunts my dreams.
Right. It's like, it was all a lie. It doesn't happen in real life.
No, I saw somebody actually spike their hair up like that during the competition from at OhioCon. It was the best I've ever seen, but it still looked weird. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well,
It was like the Statue of Liberty.
anime is full of unnatural hairstyles and colors.
You mean like Dragon Balls? The more powerful you become, the more you turn into an '80s rocker's hairstyles.
And then
Yeah.
eventually an ape.
Yeah, and then it goes backwards with Super Saiyan 4, but that's not canon, so we're not
So
going to
continuing on with Madoka Magica,
Oh, yeah, that's
the
right. That's what we
magical
were doing.
girl show.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that. Well,
There's magical
Super
girls.
Saiyans.
See, the last time we talked about magical Madoka or magical girl Madoka on this thing, I was getting scoffed by Jeremy in the room upstairs on the fifth floor. Like,
what?
Just like
What was
that.
this?
it was
Say
on
what
that
else?
one episode that was poorly done called "This Is Not Kiki's Delivery Service."
Oh,
Oh, you mean that episode that nothing happened right because someone who didn't usually set it up?
Yeah, wonder who that was.
I wonder,
Alex.
I
It
wonder-
was Matt.
I wonder who it could have been.
Clara.
screwed it up. I mean,
Clara.
I'm sure our listeners are wondering why we're not doing the Tuesday podcast anymore.
Because Matt sucks at it.
Thanks.
More because he's busy.
Busy.
Because he sucks at it.
Busy.
I will say that that opening to Madoka that you were talking about, Clara, it reminded me a bit of the first episode of Gurren Lagann, because it also sort of starts with a fast forward sort of opening where it's like, oh well,
I still love that.
I guess this is what's going to happen in the future, but it doesn't really make any sense right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I love that though when they do that in Gurren Lagann. They have the best lines when that opens.
That's true. I mean, it's epic as hell, of course,
It's,
but
all the stars are my enemy, and in that show they mean that.
pretty much.
Let's talk about grief seeds.
Grief seeds.
Oh yeah.
What about
Those things.
them?
I like grief seeds.
They're pretty cool.
They sell for $150 at OhioCon, which is a total ripoff.
Why would you say the black market?
Such a ripoff.
Just like a replica of them?
Yeah, like I
No,
mean,
it's
we're
a real
talking a really, really nice replica.
Yeah, they looked really nice.
Like
They
you could
stand
say,
up like that?
I'm a magical girl.
Yeah, it was
Alex.
like this big.
I could
Yeah,
see
but this-
Alex with the grief seed
Well,
and
hey-
pretend he's a magical girl and OU.
I don't know. You're the one with the really long hair here.
Thank you.
Luscious.
Actually, your hair with its thickness actually competes with Clara's over there.
Who's that lady?
Oh, geez.
Looks like a lady.
Anyways.
We had
So-
this beautiful little musical moment here in the
Oh, it's
So,
I do like how that first bit of the first episode I was talking about, it sort of makes you think that it's a sort of a vision of the future, but then as it turns out, it's a little bit misleading
yeah.
with how the show ends up going. But we'll get to that when we get to Homura's whole story.
So would you like to talk about the arcs then?
Which
What do you mean
one?
arcs?
The
Mommy
arcs.
side.
You mean the beginning where she
No,
thought
it's-
they were lovers?
Yeah, that was funny.
I thought that was really funny.
Her
She's
friend
like,
is
Right.
so
"Too much time
silly.
alone," like ran off. And
He's
she
like,
gets
you
down and
know that's forbidden. You're two girls. And they're just like,
laughed so hard.
friend, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. I liked Tomi. I liked Hitomi when she was being funny, not so much when she was actually
Stealing boyfriends.
being dramatic,
Well, I mean,
affecting the plot.
Sayaka could have, but she was like, I'm not actually alive when. And I'm
Okay,
like,
she's technically
You could have
alive.
totally went for
you
it.
could have totally
should've.
went for
He
it.
would have never known.
I know.
What if he did find out?
It was a
though?
fake body, but
I'm
only
married to
you
a
know that's
zombie.
true. You would just stay that age for, well, not forever.
that'd be
The
cool.
Well,
witches.
they have short
Because he'd be
lifespans.
with
But
her
You're a wizard,
until
Harry.
she, like, say she lasted a while, because a few of them can live for a while. Like, he's like 18, she's still like 14, and she's like, yeah, about that growing thing.
Yeah, that would get a little suspicious.
Did somebody say Twilight?
Oh no!
Donut.
no, nobody's saying that ever.
Somebody say pedophile vampire?
No.
No, also not saying that.
Stop it, Getty.
But, yeah. Episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Yeah. Well, that's where we get our sort of explanation of how magical girls work. And Kyubey and Mami are sort of giving them the down low on
Almost how they work.
what's
Down low.
Well, what's interesting about that is
Almost.
when you really watch Kyubey after knowing what he really is, you realize he definitely subverts the truth and tries to deceive people, but he never lies.
Yeah,
you
he's
ask him
like-
anything. His whole thing is, you never asked me so.
He's like, yeah, you never asked what happens to your body.
That's the worst kind of
never
person, though.
asked.
Like, the
Yeah,
thing is,
because
the
they
truth, but the
know
thing
and
is-
they don't tell you.
You never. It's like, what? You never asked.
You would like to buy a house? Well, you just did buy a house. Doesn't mean it's going to be coming with floors or anything. It's just
Yeah,
a
you
house.
just bought the outside
didn't
of
ask
it.
Hey,
if
when
you
you
had
live in a
flaws.
house,
That's not how a house works, though. That's
It
a
is
little
how a
different.
house works.
It is how
A house that would be a shelter. There's a difference between a shelter and a house.
It looks like a house on the outside, but
Then
the
that's not
On the
inside,
inside,
Still
there's
not-
nothing. It's
there's
just an empty
nothing.
cave.
It's an empty shell.
It has to. We're not going to get into this debate right now. But if it doesn't have flooring, it's not a house
But like,
by definition.
the way I see it is if you move into a house and turn into a witch, it's close. Oh, wait, spoiler.
We already gave our mega spoiler warning, so we've scared off anyone
Yeah.
who doesn't want to know about the show.
The spoiler. You can grow your spoils, but
One bit that I didn't realize it from episode 2 upon the first time I was watching it, but rewatching the show, which is actually quite a bit of clever writing from Mr. Urobuchi, is when they're talking about the difference between magical girls and witches. Kyubey says, if magical girls are made from wishes, then witches are made from curses. which is not a lie in any way. And you sort of think at the time like he means, oh, well, as in like witches come from all of the evil of the world, you know,
Or
like
shadows.
all the bad things that
But
happen.
it's actually
produce
because
witches.
of all the misfortune that follows after the girls make a wish.
Right. Well, and it's not exactly explained, like, because I get the feeling at least that, that maybe some witches are created just from the evilness of mankind, because there's a lot more witches than there are magical girls.
Maybe
Well,
there
it's
were
because
magical
they
before
turned
that.
into witches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long does a
The
witch
one,
last?
the one thing I do have to give credit to Madoka Magica is the fact that it breaks down the magical girl genre. It's like you
Right.
said, most magical girl shows, it's like, oh, they're a magical girl now. Everything should be peachy keen, but it shows this series kind of dives into the other. No, when you become a magical girl, kind of sucks.
It's like a full-time job that you have to work overtime every single minute of your life.
People tend to forget in that genre that, hey, guys, yeah, you know that whole with great power comes great responsibility thing. Yeah, have fun with that. You remember you wanted to continue to be a child? Nope. Now you're a child soldier.
Pretty much.
Have fun.
Yeah.
And I like that because most magical girls, it's all about I'm such a magical girl now.
Kawaii.
Yeah, so I just love how
Kill me, please. I can't believe I just said that.
that little line,
It's okay,
is just
Gigi.
a subtle bit of connection between, like, if magical girls come from this, then witches come from this,
Cool,
sort
disco.
of connecting them. Oh, it looks like Jeremy's storming out of the room. Matt made him mad.
Goodbye.
Bye, Jeremy.
He won't go outside.
Hope
It's
you
too
find
cold.
your dad.
I think he's going to get more another drink. But there's nothing on my mic for a second.
No, you have control.
But yeah, that's the thing
over
though.
it.
I like genres that actually do this. Like, see the other side of things, kind of like how Watchmen shows the other side of like
Yes.
how superheroes are.
How they're
like,
can't-
oh, they're all cool, magical, and the comedian's like, no, you're not.
No, I like that because in Watchmen, it's like, it shows that there can't be superheroes in the world because it just doesn't
work. Yeah, I mean, that's
it's
a whole
just
different
wrong.
thing, but
yeah, it's like that.
The same as this.
Yeah, well, and even like he mentioned, with great power comes great responsibility. Even more traditional superhero shows usually explore like it kind of sucks to be a superhero.
Yeah.
It's
Superheroes
kind
go
of,
through that phase.
really hard.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing right now, why does Madoka's mom and dad not sleep in the same bed?
I asked Alex that, but I think it's because his explanation when she's really drunk.
Yeah, no, I think in that, well, once again, we're watching the show when we shouldn't be because the listeners can't see it. But in that, what episode is this?
Wiggle the mouse thing.
I think it's episode 3.
Yes, it is episode 3.
Okay, that's when the mom comes home all drunk and stuff. I think they just sort of let her go to sleep there on the bed and
See,
let
the
her.
dad is so feminine.
He's so lovely.
Yeah, but
I like it.
I think that's kind of cool though because it's it's got the more modern take with like the whole stay-at-home dad thing instead of the more traditional stay-at-home mom.
And
how
she is a
peaceful his eyes
business
are.
tycoon.
Yeah,
Business
apparently.
Tycoon, the video game.
No.
Which was one thing that bothered me. I think it's in episode 2 when Madoka like says she's doing the brushing the teeth thing with her mom again. And she says, Mama, theoretically, if you could
become the CEO.
have any wish that you wanted, what would it be? Jeremy, don't kill Matt. We need him. Remember, he's gonna help pay for the room next year.
Yeah, you can't kill me.
Crap, forgot about that.
But I did find it a little strange how she mentions like, well, it would be nice to be CEO, and I've got these supporters in this office, and it's only those old men in the marketing department that I'd have to worry about. If that guy just stepped down,
The
then
old
maybe
men of
and
Sele.
I think even Madoka's like, Mom, you're sounding kind of scary, and I honestly thought that like that was gonna come up again. It was gonna be really, Matt.
We had to make
We
a
tried an
Ava
Ava
reference.
That took me a second.
The old men of Sele.
But
Why not?
yes, I think we all know what Jeremy's opinions of Ava are at this point. Yeah, but I thought for sure that like that was gonna come back, like that maybe Madoka would wish for her mom to like become CEO or whatever, and then it was all gonna lead to tragedy in the end.
Ruin
And-
her
Girl with a preacher
family.
dad.
Yeah, it'd be like the one episode of Jimmy Neutron when he wishes he was rich so he could get the encyclopedia, and then his dad.
Oh
hated
yeah,
him.
his dad. I remember that. His dad wrote a bunch of ducks and then ignored him.
Yep.
Really?
So, yeah, he got a bunch of
I don't know. I never watched Jimmy Neutron, so I wouldn't know.
I remember that was
It's a terrible show.
Go take a hike.
You just search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Nice. Anything else anyone wants to say about episode 2? I mean, the only other thing I can think of that's important is that they establish how witches like put the curse marks on people,
Yeah.
and then make them go all suicidal and such.
Suicidal shark.
Like, I wonder how they do that. Like, is it just like kiss or something like that, or is it,
Let me give you a big
or if it was just like meh,
What
or
if they
something
send
like
them
that?
like a
Like, just
sonogram or
touch.
something?
See, what I imagine happens is they start playing that song, How Good This Happened to Me. They just make them listen to the whole song, and that's how it works.
Probably.
Well, then where do the marks come from?
From the
Magic markers.
No, while
Stamp.
they're trying to claw their ears out, the witches just come up behind them. Exactly, they use a rubber stamp and just get them on the arm way.
That or the guy from ShamWow tries to sell them something while he's distracting like the witch.
It's a sham.
Or he's
I
the
prefer
witch.
the sham. Woohoo!
Sham woohoo!
No, what it really is
the-
they're-
You know what
they're
I'm
not
talking about,
depressed.
Clara.
I know what
They've
you're
been
talking about.
They've been promised to meet Billy Mays in the afterlife.
That's worth it.
Totally worth
But
it.
wait, there's more.
That or they're just reminded that Green Lantern
But like,
exists as a movie.
Oh.
That would sad. That would be enough to get me.
Homura's warning to Madoka.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
It's like, at first you're like, lady, what's your problem? Why are you glaring at her so much? And it's like, you don't know yet.
Then
But
you
when you
find out
find
the
out, and
secret.
it's just like, wait, no.
right. Well,
It was out of love, not out of just, don't do this and ruin your
I can't
life
believe how
because
broken she was after
reasons.
seeing it like 20 times.
I know. Well, for me, going into this show, I'd heard about it for a long time, but I really wasn't inspired to actually watch it. Stop talking about Dr. Pepper.
Science! It's science. Steins Gate. Watch Steins Gate and drink
Personally,
Dr.
I
Pepper.
prefer Mellow Yellow, but they don't ever sell that on campus, so.
Oh well.
Nice. But as I was saying, now I forgot what I was saying. I was saying something about... Yes, warning from Homura. Because I heard about the show, wasn't inspired to watch it because I thought, oh, magical girls, Sailor Moon, don't want any part of that.
Hey, you know what? Say what you will about Sailor Moon, but I've never laughed at something so hard. Except for maybe The Room.
Except for The Room, because The Room is hilarious. And then I went and watched one of my favorite anime reviewers is on thatguywiththeglasses.com. Her name is Yezu Otaku. And she did a pretty long, spoiler-free review of Madoka Magica. And
Which we're not doing.
which we are not doing, but I saw like some of the imagery and stuff, and that got me interested. And she just kept on talking about how it was like a really well executed tragedy. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, this sounds like up my alley, so I went and watched it. So when Homura was giving her warning in episode 1, I knew for a fact, like, well, we shouldn't just dismiss this because this is obviously going to happen, if Madoka doesn't do something. I think we just lost Kenny.
Hey,
Where can he go?
speaking of well-executed tragedies, you watched the best executed tragedy ever last week.
What, The Room?
Yes. I'm going to keep bringing that up.
Oh, yeah, well... I was just discussing this with Kenny earlier this morning. What if, what's his name? The guy who...
Tommy Wiseau?
Yes, Tommy Wiseau. What if he is actually like a genius and he went into this knowing that he was going to make he was trying to make the best, worst movie of all time. And he's just playing like he thinks it's legitimately good and is playing like this really stupid guy when in reality he's just watching the reaction and loving it.
The problem is I understand you. I've heard that theory before. The problem is you can't play stupid that sincerely.
Yeah, unless he's the best actor of all time, as
Which
it
he totally
turns out.
isn't. Ha ha ha
ha. Oh, hi, doggy.
Hi, doggy.
Everyone remember that book from childhood?
Why did you
Again,
do
another
that?
reference that the viewers can't see, but if you type in the very hungry, hungry caterpillar in Madoka Magica,
It's gonna eat mommy.
Why would you do that?
Sadness.
Well, that's actually a nice transition into everyone's favorite episode, episode 3.
4.
3.
Nope,
Four.
we're not skipping it, Clara.
Yes,
I'm
we
sorry.
are. Yes, we are.
It's like episode 8 of Gurren Lagann, though. That's what it reminded me of.
Well, yeah.
Except episode 8 of Gurren Lagann was actually really, really good, so you
Yeah.
still wanted to talk about it, even if it was
I know. No, I'm just saying because it's kind of similar because they
Well-
build up this character and then
Well, unlike what I've heard about episode 8 of Gurren Lagann is that Kamina actually manages to avenge his own death.
Oh, yeah, he does. He
Which is
gets
just BA in multiple ways.
oh yeah, he gets up and avenges himself and then dies again.
Exactly. Which does not so happen to Mommy because unlike Gurren Lagann, Madoka Magica is pretty grounded in reality.
For a magical
Kenny
ghost.
is just seeing the caterpillar for the first time.
That's a pretty good enemy. Let's make that an enemy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, we were talking about how she dies?
Well, we're
Yeah.
getting there. what did you guys think of her little backstory?
So sad.
What's that?
She was.
I didn't really care, honestly.
Well,
What do you mean how she's
Use your words, Clara.
yeah.
What?
Well,
Use
You
your
really
words.
found out anything past that.
Friggin'
Honestly,
bacon.
the problem is though I didn't really care because I'm very hard to drive to like being like really sad or just emotionally affected by cartoons. Like,
right.
No offense.
Well, and
See, I'm just the opposite.
if they
Like,
had
sorry to interrupt, but if it's a live action movie and people are getting slaughtered to death, I'm just like,
that's because
Well, see, I care
that's
if
because
animals
we're
get
horrifically
hurt.
desensitized.
We are.
but then when it's a cartoon, it's like, oh, that's so sad.
But no, I'm not gonna lie. I think the only two cartoons I've ever like teared up at, like, three. Two of them are Pixar films.
Was it Up?
Up is one of them.
Up.
I love.
Wall-E.
Oh God!
Toy Story 3.
And Toy Story 3 was the other one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the third one was Grave of the Fireflies. But that's just like that was one of those things. It's like, oh my God, I kind of want to kill myself.
yeah. Whereas Up and Toy Story 3 are sort of happy-ish tears, Grave of the Fireflies has no
there
happy.
was no
Not-
happy tears.
There
in
is
that
no
first 5
happy
minutes
in
of
it.
Up.
We need. I
You're
got a Blu-ray
you're a
shipping
monster.
on the way. We gotta watch that.
What is wrong with
I was
you?
thinking more.
I actually want to watch this.
Yay, Miss
See,
Carrot.
Andrew needs it for his
I'm
life.
gonna watch this
I wanna
regardless.
watch them, I
So
need someone to
No,
rent
you
it.
gotta watch it.
yes,
Blu-ray.
Kenny, we need to watch
Well,
this.
what
Can I
We'll have to
come
review
too?
after Summer Wars.
I will find somewhere else to watch.
Yes.
What if
All
Grave
right.
of the Fireflies is
Man.
just a cleverly hidden witch, and that's what's making us all want to kill ourselves?
It's just sadness
I was
incarnate.
to defend myself. I was thinking more about Toy Story 3 than I was about Up. I apologize
Up
to
is
all the
sad in Toy
Pixar
Story
fans
3.
out
No,
there.
yeah, you need to clarify that next time because I immediately thought you were talking about Up. It's like you're a monster. You're an absolute
fairy.
baby-eating
fairy.
monster.
Exactly. Toy Story 3 is
Yeah,
good.
but I would agree with you in that they purposefully don't devote a ton of time to like mommy's backstory. They just sort of say, "Hey, car crash, QB saved my
Oh, is
life."
that what it was?
Well, like yeah, like
Unless
she
she's
got
in a war zone.
That's
No,
actually that's what I thought the first time I saw it. But when you actually look, it's just car crash.
yeah, she got into a huge car crash. Her parents both died, and then Cube shows up, and she's like, "I want to live," and he's like, "That's your wish."
I did see a good point that someone made. Why didn't she wish for herself and her parents to be
Well,
alive?
I mean, at that moment, she said that she wishes that she would have had time to think about it.
I'm pretty sure that would have pulled I'm pretty sure that Kube would have pulled a monkey's paw on her.
Oh yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's like, yeah, what's your wish? I want to be back to life. You know, when you're dying, you're not thinking, I want to save everybody. You're thinking about yourself. In
No,
this
like,
movie.
oh my gosh,
Wait,
everything
am I the
hurts,
only
I wanna
person here who's
live.
read the monkey's paw?
No, I've read.
I
the
read it
monkey's
too.
paw.
I got
do,
that.
do you understand why I mean that he would have pulled a monkey's paw on
No,
her?
I
Yeah.
do, and they sort of talk about that sort of stuff in Madoka Magica
Karma.
because well, there's that, but also basically anybody who, except for Madoka, as it turns out in the
Because
end,
she is the exception.
anyone who makes a wish basically for someone else without really understanding what that person really wants, or if they have some sort of hidden, subconscious like desire, that's corrupting their wish, it's gonna go downhill, as seen by Sayaka, as seen by Kyoko.
Why are we
Whereas
watching this again?
Mommy,
No,
'cause it's
no,
awesome.
no, 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 no.
We're talking
But
about
this part's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the fight scene in episode 3 is amazing. Like
that.
all the stuff with Mommy fighting is pretty cool.
She
She has
is
she has one of the coolest powers in the show for
She
sure.
does. And she's
Time manipulation's always the best.
All right.
Oh, and one thing
yeah.
I forgot about in episode 2 that I did think was quite cool, because that's when we see her. She looks like she gets caught, and it's like, oh no, she got caught by the witch, and then she's like, just kidding, and all those little yellow strings pop out and grab the witch, and then she does her little trio finale, giant
Yeah.
buster gun, kaboom, finishing move attack.
And just remind you why I never finished this.
Well, she's really the only one with like a real finishing move sort of attack like that.
Yeah.
All the others don't.
I apologize to everyone who's into that.
no way.
Not even the moe, but just like the ridiculous sort of stuff like that. It usually doesn't bother me, but I don't know what
But you-
it was. It gets under my skin.
But
if
you
I see it too long.
like it in Gurren Lagann,
Gurren Lagann's
Right.
slightly different because that it's not really ridiculous within the show itself.
Right. It's already so ridiculous
Yes.
in general.
It's actually probably like it's actually
gonna
usually
happen
kind of
soon, it's gonna
underwhelming
happen
once you
soon.
see a lot of giant drill. It's like, oh, okay. No,
Right.
Giga Drill Baker's
No,
awesome.
I don't want to. I'm not
Yes.
watching.
Well, and that's another reason I love episode 8, because that's the first time we see it happen. It's like, oh. But another bit I
tell
loved
me when
about
it's
about episode 3 was we see Homura and Mami, sort of have this little
She
confrontation.
has so much time to move.
Okay.
does.
Yeah,
No,
we're
no,
watching
no.
Mami's death scene if you can't figure it out right now.
Yum yum, eat 'em up. Yum yum, eat 'em up. Yum yum, eat 'em up.
No, she just got someone to stay with her forever.
She had at least 2 or 3 seconds to move.
Madoka
Yeah, she
was
did. She
gonna
had like a
stay
good
with her
6 seconds to move out of the
forever.
way. She just kind of stood there.
As shocking as it is, seriously.
For a
she
lesbian
should move.
romance.
She had
Couldn't
that.
show
She
that on
moved
screen,
super
so that-
fast.
Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah. Well, the thing I've heard about that, because I've heard some people say, like, why didn't she move so fast? The way I've heard it explained is, like,
Unexpected.
at that point, she was sort of like this whole, like, mentor character for Sayaka and Madoka. And the last time she looked like she was in trouble, she was like, no, I got it all under control, But this time, like, she's so happy that Madoka told her, I'm going to be your friend, basically. We're going to be together and fight witches.
Forever and ever and ever.
And she basically was like overconfident, like how she completely ignored Homura's warning earlier in that episode when she's like, let me fight this witch. You don't understand what its power is, basically.
She's fought them all before.
Exactly. So that's why
That
she was
one's
like,
name is Charlotte.
yeah, she was so surprised by, her failing miserably, basically, that she didn't move in time to
Well, I
not
mean,
die.
That's still a really crappy explanation.
It's not the best
Well,
explanation.
think about it
but-
like this: like you just beat the crap out of this little plush toy, and you're like, "Yeah, I totally got this." And all of a sudden, this giant
caterpillar comes
thing
hungry
comes
My
up.
My reaction to
caterpillar.
that is, oh god, gotta run away, gotta run away.
Oh god, oh god,
Gotta
we're all
go.
gonna die.
Gotta go.
Press B
Gotta
and go back to
go.
Gotta go fast.
Oh,
All
his
comes
name
back
is
to that.
Luffy.
That's Monkey D. Luffy.
He'll be king of the pirates.
Shut up. We're not acknowledging that
happened.
thing's existence.
But it's like I thought, oh, maybe it'll like eat her, then she'll like bust out from the inside. No, it bites her head off.
Yeah, that was
No.
unexpected.
And then her body just kind of dangles there.
And this
then
pretty much sets the
falls.
precedence for the rest of the series.
Right.
and then he eats more of it.
Right. Well, I think let's do a quick little roundtable about everyone's reactions to that. Because personally, for me, like I was watching the show and I knew it was going to be a dark show and everything, but even then, like I wasn't expecting it. I was
Clara.
like, whoa, and my eyes were sort of like wide open for the rest of the episode. It's like, okay, this is obviously where things get dark, and they sort of show that in that the first 2 episodes have a credit sequence that's all moe and happy, and then the third one has the Magia, I think it's what it's called. The song is called Magia, and it's got that really creepy looking ending
It is.
theme.
There you
Yes, where Madoka's just running away into oblivion, basically. So I thought it was well done and very surprising. What about you, Clara?
It hurts. It hurts so much.
Andrew?
It's interesting because I was watching the episode and I'm like, because you had told us it was like a tragedy,
Right.
and I was watching it, and when Madoka told her that I'm gonna stay with you, and she was all happy and excited, I'm like, oh, see, that's right there. This is a tragedy show. You're not allowed to be happy. It's the second you get happy, you get dead.
Pretty much. Well, and I thought about this in retrospect.
If you're happy and you know it, you are dead.
Dun,
If
dun.
you're happy and you know it, you are dead.
Bite your head off.
If you're happy and you know it, you really don't want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, you are dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But it really should have tipped me off that they showed her flashback in that episode, because, like, if I know, if I've learned anything from, like, Naruto and stuff, the villain always gets their backstory right before they die.
I'm such a tragic villain. Feel bad for me in my 5 minutes of exposition.
Exposition.
We call that last minute character
exposition.
developments.
Yeah, sometimes it works. Matt, what did you think of the...
Well, when you get chicken, you chop the head off, and you pull all the feathers, and you fry it, and you eat it, and it's some nummy fried chicken.
What did that have to do with anything we were talking
She's still
about?
You gotta chop her head off.
Okay.
The hungry caterpillar
All
had to
right.
chop her head
I was
off.
Matt
You
Lund, everyone.
stop it.
Kenneth, what did you... Well, actually, I was in the room, and I was watching your face when it happened. You're like, no, it's not going to happen. She's not actually going to be
I
dead.
was convinced she was gonna move. But you're right, the tragic show. I know, but seriously, it caught me off guard. So I was pretty much like that. I was like slack-jawed the rest of the time. It was a little upsetting because the best character in the series died.
Were there manly tears?
They were wailing, but they did not.
I had manly tears.
I licked all of them up. before they fall.
Just gonna lick them.
I collect them. It's called my mommy jar. My tears.
Jeremy, what about you?
Nah.
Really?
Really?
It didn't even surprise you?
As you guys said, it's a tragedy. Honestly, I honestly had kind of had a scorecard out at this point. Okay, she's dead.
So you knew going in that the show was going to be dark and tragic.
Indeed.
I see. I did something similar that I did with Kenny when I watched the series over the break. I was like, "Ooh, this is good." I was showing it to my younger sisters, and I was
Oops.
Well, no, it turned out to be good. They both enjoyed it. But I enjoyed I would look at their faces like at moments when I knew something like dark and poignant was about to happen, and my younger sister Olivia was definitely shocked as hell when mommy was randomly killed. So
I would be.
It definitely worked.
Like the part where the wraps just fell off of Homer, and she was like, "No," and I was like, "She's dead. She's dead."
Yeah, pretty much. And acid is
That's kind of how I felt once the whole candy cane lollipop scene started.
Lollipop.
Walls are melting.
Oh, la 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 la.
Yeah, really.
But dum.
Fun story I read about online. Apparently, there was a woman who gave
Birth?
on Amazon how you can give reviews for products and things. She apparently gave Madoka Magica a 1-star review. It was telling the story about how she was friends with someone who was a mother of like a young little girl, and this friend had seen the character designs for Madoka Magica and saw, oh, it looks like a really cute girl.
Never
little
judge
show.
it by the people.
And so
It's like the rules of anime.
yeah, and so she gave it to this little girl to watch, and then the mom called her like a couple days later and was like screaming at her like, my daughter's been like traumatized by this.
Oh, wah.
But I do think it's a legitimate sort of thing to consider because, for an unsuspecting person who doesn't know that it's a tragedy going in, those first 2 episodes sort of would make you think, oh, it's going to be, it's not a happy-go-lucky completely show because they'd already shown some stuff with the witches and things.
But it's still a good thing, though. It throws you that much for a loop. That means he did a really good job of making it.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Like, I guess it just could deceive little kids into watching it and then having their souls destroyed.
My argument is, if you can't be bothered to read the back of the box, you deserve what's coming to you.
That is a good point.
Yep. Well,
They're
not.
And again, I'm also the same person who thinks it's really stupid that there were actually stores, there were actually video stores that were actually getting in trouble because they were putting the Dead Space animation in the same section as the child movies because it was a cartoon.
Wow. That's just Americans
Well, if
being
it's
stupid.
Dead Space, I don't think it's like something they're going to confuse with like.
Let me tell you,
Happy Land.
They were showing it. They showed a severed arm right on the cover too. So.
Yeah,
Right, I
floating in
mean-
space. I've seen that.
For children.
Yeah.
I saw 4 kids on it.
Yep, 4 kids.
All right.
Ugh, 4 kids.
4 kids
So-
version.
Hey, they don't exist anymore, so we're all good.
Yeah, thankfully.
If it was 4 kids, you have the thumbs up on that arm.
All right, so now we're moving into sort of the second segment of the show, which
Their
is
school's awesome, first of all.
It reminded me of like incubators.
It is sort of strange how like it's set in modern times. Like nothing seems futuristic about the world except for like this school, which
And
is
her
super high
house.
tech.
In her house.
And her house.
Okay,
That's
fine.
what I thought. I thought it was set in the future. Like,
It's probably a few years in the
10
future because
-ish
it's all like
years.
glass and high
15
architecture.
minutes into the future.
I mean, it's whatever.
15
Yeah, well,
years ago.
yeah, maybe it's near future. I don't know.
Look
Look at that. I mean, why do they? How
It's
do they
all
get there?
white. Like it's very.
Well, I think that might have been just more of the.
Japan secretly invaded China and they took over the
Imperial-
Forbidden City.
Not the Forbidden City. Oh my
Imperial
god!
Palace?
No, they took over the Olympic Stadium
Oh.
that they used in
Oh.
Beijing.
The Beijing Stadium.
And they
Yes.
turned it into a school.
That makes sense.
Touche.
There you
Seems
go.
legit.
But I don't know. I get the
that.
feeling they just did it so that
Contrast.
the art designer could make these really cool designs and things.
Like just ham on it.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say about it? No, I've seen it happen like that before, but if I paused it, everything would still be there.
Well, you planning on cutting out that part you just talked in right there?
We'll see. But talking about podcast stuff here, people, don't worry about it. In episode 4,
Sayaka bother anyone else but me.
what about her bothered you?
She was just. Well, she took.
Oh, the girl who ate everything.
Yeah. She just.
Her friend right there.
No, that's Kyoko. No, Sayaka, the blue-haired one.
Yeah, her friend right. Yeah.
Yeah, her friend. Like in
She's
the
just
beginning,
so
I was
depressed.
like, she's kind of cute, and there's that like, oh, I have lesbianic vibes going on, and I'm just like, I couldn't,
Lesbianos.
Hey.
Wait,
I couldn't think of the word. Okay?
Lesbianic?
Hey. Lesbian, how
That's a
you
word?
doing?
But like it was just funny how like, who does she remind me of? She reminded me of the one character from Code Geass who was.
I don't know. I don't like
Who?
Half the
Colin.
Yeah, Jerry, we're in the same.
I
boat
don't
there.
remember, but
Sorry.
she was always
Shirley?
like
Thank
she
you
was
very
always
much.
hugging Shirley. Or was that? I forget what it was that it reminded me of, but I liked their whole relationship. But then once she started thinking of the magical girl stuff and kept going to that boy, I'm like, she's gonna waste her wish on this boy, and he's not gonna love her back, and then she's gonna be so sad about it, and bad things are gonna happen. Of course, that happened.
Oh yeah.
And like I thought, oh, he's gonna like, and then in the back of my head, I had a little bit of hope, and I was like, oh, he's gonna be like, this is so great. You've been here my whole life.
See, thank you. I was telling Alex that.
You should totally love me, and we can get married and stuff. And she'd be like, of course, man.
It just shows he's the worst type of person, because imagine somebody visiting you every day in the hospital and you don't say thanks to them once. And just
Yeah, and he
ignore
like
them.
totally flipped out on her about the music and like smashed his hand. I was like, that
I
probably
can't
cost.
play this music.
That
Why
probably
let me hear
cost
it?
her money,
But
you
at
jerk.
least in the end, she was still happy she did it. She didn't regret it in the end.
Right, but I mean,
Hey, I liked this. I have to say the middle part was. Well, I guess you'd say both middle arcs. Well, is it really broken into 3 arcs?
Well, that's the way I sort of think of it, because think about it. The first 3 episodes is like Act 1, the middle is all Act 2, and then the last 3 are Act 3.
I mean, the middle arc, it's got blue-haired chick
Sayaka.
Sayaka,
and eats a lot chick.
Kyoko.
Well,
I like his
They're like the
versions.
2 main
I like
characters,
those
though.
names.
Well, and it still focuses quite a bit on Madoka, like, struggling with her wish, and Homura pops up here and there to be like, I'm going to be mysterious and stop your fight.
I'm
But
gonna be over
like
here and be
with,
cryptic.
with Sayaka and Kyoko, like as I was watching everything, I was on Tumblr just looking at Madoka stuff, and I kept seeing them like hugging and stuff, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna be totally best friends and stuff. They're all rivals in the beginning, but they're gonna be best friends. Of course, that doesn't happen either. But you know,
Tumblr is made of lies. Haven't you figured it out?
I love
It's
Tumblr.
made of
lies.
I
No,
love
Tumblr is made of
Tumblr.
lies
Yeah,
and,
exchange
and easily upset fans.
Oh,
Very easily upset fans.
that's true. One thing I did want to mention, I forgot about it earlier, when you mentioned the school, I just wanted to say that one of my favorite like comedic things they do in the show is the teacher who's always in there like comparing whatever she's teaching about English and stuff to her failed attempts with her boyfriends.
It's
and
like,
dates
boys,
and
She
things.
yelled
It's
at
the
that kid in
girl-
the beginning. He's like, what's wrong with fried eggs? He's like, ow, and he screamed.
I don't know. I just
I
loved
don't-
her.
Sayaka just kind of got annoying at the end. I was like, you know what? Madoka cares so much about you, and you just shove her
But the
away.
whole, let's dive into that real quick, Alex. The whole idea of becoming, you think you're doing the right thing, but you basically become the thing you were fighting.
Right. Well, and how Madoka Magica works as far as like, the how karma works. It seems, because Kyoko and Sayaka both say it throughout this whole bit is how, the however much is good is created by your wish is going to be equaled out by an equal amount of despair. Like just as much
Because the world
happiness
has
is
to be
created.
balanced.
Exactly. The amount of goodness equals the amount of curses. And it all balances out, and that's how.
and then the curses consume you.
You know what I think? The show should have been voiced over by a bunch of like 40-year-old smoker men.
Why?
Like, Sayaka, we need to go kill the witch. How much better would have been, but the little girls, come on. I want to make it a bridge series of that.
Yes, make it a bridge series.
Because I kept voicing over with Alex in the room like that, and I was like, this would be awesome.
Yeah, we were actually messing around with that a little bit.
would be fun.
But how I see it is like with Sayaka's wish, it seems like a good idea. But Mommy even is telling her earlier on in episode 2 or 3, when because at that point we've met Kyosuke, or what is that
Yeah,
his
that's
name?
his name.
Yeah, and she says, well, hypothetically, if you're gonna make a wish for somebody that you liked, how would that be? And she's sort of like warning her, if you don't know what they really want, and you make this wish, and also you don't have like the purest of intentions, then it's gonna go wrong for you, basically.
Right, because she was like, if you're doing it for him to love you, then it's not going to work. But if you're doing this just for him, I guess it'll be fine. But I think she did do it to make him happy, but in the back of her head, she was like, I want him to love me. And then
Oh,
when
yeah.
her friend was like,
Find
yeah, I've had the
me
hugest crush on
somebody
Kyosuke
to
since forever, but I
love.
never
Of course that
told
would come
you.
out. I mean,
And I was like, oh.
Find
See, I'm wondering-
me somebody to love. Find me somebody.
Coming up next time on Sing Alongs.
No kidding. There's
what
been
if she
so
just
many
wished him to
songs.
love her? I wonder what happened then.
Probably a lot of bad.
Yeah, well then he's
Maybe her
forced to
friend
love
would have
her.
died or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is that he can make you any wish. There's no bounds. You could do some... Like he told Madoka at one point, she could become God. Because she had that much power.
I
Bruce
would
Almighty.
totally
Yeah.
do that.
I'm winning this.
No, I wouldn't want to be God. I've seen Bruce Almighty.
All the emails.
That teaches you. I don't know. With Sayaka, I actually find her character to be really fascinating because she is like, if you look at her as a tragic character, the definition of a tragic character is that they are a noble character who has, is admirable in many ways, but at the same time, oftentimes whatever their noble characteristic is that we admire them the most for is also what leads to their downfall.
Ambition.
I like downfall.
Sorry, what was that, Jeremy?
The phrase is tragic hero.
Right, tragic hero. Well, it depends because you could have a tragic character who's not a tragic hero.
No, you really can't.
Well, you could have a tragic villain, theoretically.
Could you have a heroic villain?
No.
Okay, whatever. Point being that, like, with Sayaka, it's her just... She's, like, too noble, basically. She's so noble almost to a fault, because she believes in, like,
Justice.
Yes, justice, and she's going to fight witches, not for the sake of getting grief seeds, like all the other magical girls. But she's doing it to save people.
But she does it to the extreme, which causes her to become what she fights. I mean, that's the one thing I liked is there's a limit.
He who fights monsters should be careful not to become one himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that whole motto was really cool in the story. I really enjoyed that. It's
Either you die a hero.
Well, the
or you
minute
live
you
long enough
realize
to be in the sequel.
that episode I predicted was going to happen, and when it did, it blew my mind. When she started turning into the witch,
when she was talking to Kyoko, it was like, I'm so stupid. I've been so stupid. Then shatter, and I was like,
that's the thing though. Like before that, even forgot
when
her
she was on
name.
the
Purple hair girl.
Oh, Homura.
Homura. Yeah, she's warning her. It's like, what are you're doing this to Madoka? You're hurting her, and that's like the one thing you think would make her stop. Cause that's her best friend.
And it's
she was
like,
Why would
no.
you do this? You were the chosen one.
And then Obi-Wan came out. No,
Which is
yeah,
under
she
the-
Chuck tested.
Well,
I don't know the word chosen one.
but I think it works for
Oh, is the series?
for the way it progresses, because in episode 4 that we're a little glancing at right now, it just is starting with her, trying to figure out like what she should wish for, and if she should waste her wish on Kyosuke, because she obviously isn't like all gung ho going for it. She knows that this could be a bad thing. But then when he says, like, there's no way my hand's ever going to heal, the doctor said so, and he's so depressed and breaks the thing and is...
Right here.
Yeah, screaming at her, and she...
being a baby
Right.
jerk face,
But-
baby man.
Like what I had been saying earlier, about, Sayaka secretly making the wish because she hoped that, Kyosuke would love him. She even says that. I think she's talking to herself in the elevator, is like, do I want to wish for this just for his sake, or is it so, he'll love me?
Yeah, bleeding. I see lots of bleeding.
Blood.
So I just thought of something. This is
Okay.
it's fairly relevant. You know how when you make the wish, an equal amount of bad will happen?
Right?
I wonder how much it would piss off. I can't even think of his name now.
Kyubey?
If I wish for a cupcake.
What?
Yeah, just a cupcake.
You would be the worst magical girl ever.
Well, remember that's what Madoka was going to wish for. Mommy's like, well, if you can't think of a wish
cake.
by the time I defeat the switch, we're going to wish for the biggest cake in the world. And Madoka's like, such a waste of the wish.
What if you just wish that
There's an equal amount of bad in the world. I wish for a cupcake.
Equivalent
you
exchange.
get the worst cupcake the next day?
Your cupcake
Dang it.
doesn't have any icing on it.
It's all just cake.
This
Okay,
is mildly inconvenient.
I don't like the icing.
No.
Well,
what if you just wish his race to never exist?
well, you wouldn't.
Then there
only
would-
someone like Madoka, who had all this karmatic buildup, would have the power to actually make a wish that enormous.
And imagine if she
real.
did that, then the witches would still exist. Therefore, the witches would just plague society until they took over the
Well,
whole
if the wish
world.
never existed at that time, witches never exist either.
Wait, what are you saying?
Because witches exist is because Kyubey came over here and
Yeah,
was
so
like,
if you
oh,
wish they
hi, you
never
want to make a
existed,
contract?
No magic girls
Right.
Because-
Well, right, but according to Kyubey, if the incubators had never come to Earth, then man would still be in the Stone Age.
That's
so
just what he said.
We-
You know what that smells like? That
Ancient
smells
aliens.
like crap.
Well, I agree that I don't think Stone Age is appropriate,
We'd
but
at least be in the middle
but
of
it would
this.
be it would definitely have an effect on the world history up to that point, because we saw in that little flashback that a lot of the
Cleopatra, Joan of Arc.
right a
Or,
lot
you
of
know, the
big
wish could have
That
been,
was
I just
great.
wish you never
I saw
existed.
Cleopatra.
That made me so happy. I was
No,
like,
when I saw-
powerful
yeah.
women.
I saw that. I
I'd just like to
freaked
point out the wish could have been, I just wish you never existed.
well, right, but like we just said, then
There's many others.
There are other ones, but he's the main problem in this case.
Well,
Well,
another one would come
yeah.
to
He has
Earth.
other bodies
but,
though. That
well,
come
you
up.
you have not actually seen the ending, so you don't know what Madoka's actual wish is, because she basically goes beyond from thinking just about herself and her friends to thinking about magical girls, past, present, future, throughout all of time, everywhere, and she solves the problem basically.
It was ridiculous. Kyubey was like, duh, what?
But we'll get there when we get to
That
that.
smells of a Deus Ex Machina.
No, it works though. It works.
Oh, this part was creepy.
What
Zombie people.
Zombie people.
Yeah.
Let's all
when they're
And then
die
her
walking
together.
away,
friend
her
was
friend
like,
is,
"Meh."
witchified.
Oh yeah.
Let's all die.
Yeah, well, and I did like that little bit where, Madoka's mom was like, these two chemicals, don't ever mix them together or else bad things are going to happen, so.
And then
And she's like, I did find it weird how she grabs the thing in the bucket and is like, no, it's a bad thing. And she throws out the window and there's like all these adults just standing there watching her and like any of them you
Don't
think could
mix these,
overpower this
ever.
tiny little girl.
well, I think they were like, well, they're obviously not in their right minds. So until like it all kind of registers, like, oh wait, she's doing something that we need not to happen.
Right. And what did you guys think, moving on from episode 4, of Kyoko and sort of her whole entrance in this series? Because when she shows up for the first time, you do
She was
not like
annoying.
her at all.
She was annoying.
She's the worst.
I wouldn't call her
She's
annoying.
like that
She was
friend that
just
runs to
kind
the
of
party and
evil.
starts
was-
beating up your other friend.
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
like a
you're like,
thing?
hey, who's that girl? She takes a lampshade and hits you over the head and runs. And you're like, what?
Bam. Like,
And
what
then you
was
find out
that?
that she had a tragic story.
Hey, I know that girl. She hit me in the head with a lampshade.
She's
Lampshade.
the
Actually,
worst.
no, really, this actually happened to me. It wasn't actually a lampshade.
Did she eat apples afterwards?
No,
Oh, then it wasn't her.
no. There was just this. The party story is not relevant right now. But
It was just a lampshade.
let's just say no.
Later.
There was
It
a
wasn't a
wild
lampshade.
party.
She hit me with a shoe.
Wait, where's this at?
This is in
In
his
real
life.
life.
Whoa.
Real life.
How did you go to some crazy party?
No. This is
Was
like
it prompted, or did she just do it?
No, she just like ran at me with a shoe.
Die,
I was so
Jeremy.
confused with the rest of the night.
Oh, that's
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
not
really
here
like
nor there.
Kyoko.
So yeah.
Well, I
As
like.
the whole character in her end was really sad.
yeah, in the end, she's really cool.
She
I
was
know.
really sweet.
She's the last one to
and she was
see.
like, Sayaka, I'll be your best friend forever.
Yeah,
Blows
but
up.
when
I'll
she-
be your friend.
But when she shows up for the first time and she's talking about like how, you should just let the familiars go off and kill a few people so they can become witches and you'll actually be able to get something off of them. She's basically the antithesis of Sayaka, at that point in time.
Oh, this is awesome. We get to see Sayaka fight for the first time. But yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, though, that's cool. She was the last one to actually see Sayaka, technically. I thought it was perfect that she was the one to take her down
Right.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also liked how, what Sayaka's confrontation with Kyoko just reinforces her whole, nobility to the bitter end whole thing when she's talking to Madoka afterwards and was like, no, we were trying to kill each other that whole fight, and I think all magical girls are like Kyoko and Homura. Mami was the exception. All of them are just in it for themselves, but I'm just going to be there, to fight for justice and the good of people and not worry about grief seeds and
But
all
then
this other stuff.
you find out about Kyoko's past and you're like, oh, I see why you're so selfish.
Right. Well, it makes sense why she was being so mean to her because she saw Sayaka making the same mistakes she was, and she had completely changed her way of life basically to this more selfish type of magical girl. But
You're so selfish.
unfortunately, the way Kyoko does it is probably like the best way to, as far as just guaranteeing your own survival as a magical girl.
Right.
You know,
Especially
that's
because
what-
she doesn't have anyone to look after her.
Yeah, since if that's your number one priority as a magical girl, then Kyoko's doing it right. As horrible as that whole way of life is. And it's actually in episode 6, I believe, where what you mentioned earlier, Kenny, the mom giving the advice that's not bad in principle, but just the way,
The way she words it, she was like, if your friend's going to crash and burn, let them do it.
yeah,
Let
that's
them do it full glory.
yeah. If you're sure that your friend's making a bad decision, might as well let them crash and burn now rather than later.
Thanks, Mom.
Go, mom.
This may not be a bad idea.
Well,
But, like,
and then Madoka goes and throws Sayaka's soul gem
She
onto
done
a truck.
goofed. She done goofed.
Which I actually was thinking about when we were rewatching it. She was actually pretty lucky that it landed on the truck rather than
didn't
landing in the road
shatter.
and getting broken, because then she really would have died.
And I love how Homura went after it because she knew that it would make. What's her
Right. Well,
face?
she was the only one that
Madoka.
knew the
Madoka.
truth about soul gems at that
Yeah.
point.
And then, what's his name? Kibe is like, oh, about that. I forgot to tell you guys are living zombies with souls in your gems you have to carry around or you'll die. Nothing big. And they're like, what?
Wait, what?
Right. Well, and something I didn't.
Hoodie-waddy.
Something that's interesting about that I didn't think about is when you actually, we're watching the show in Japanese and you hear them say it, they say soul gem like in English. So it's like Cube is telling them, oh, there's this little thing called soul gem. Don't worry about that. It's not important. That's why I'm telling you in English instead of your native language of Japanese, because I want you to ignore that, and not question that maybe your soul could be inside of that thing.
He realizes my hand works again.
But And that for me is definitely the turning point for Kyoko as a character, because before that she was obviously like very much at odds with Sayaka, but after that they sort of like I guess they sort of, she was obviously a little bit upset at the whole like being a zombie thing and losing your soul, and she was like, well, Sayaka, we sort of share this, we share two things now. We share being zombies, losing our souls as magical girls, and I also tried to make a wish for someone else's sake, and that kind of didn't work out too well, which I actually thought was a really, really well done. When they go to the church, and it's a very pretty
the whole
little
story
scene
with her father. I liked that.
It was so sad.
It is sad, but it's kind of cool.
It was
Imagine your
really
father
cool.
calling you a hedonist like witch.
A witch, yeah. And I also like just the way it was animated, like with the little, I don't know what you'd
Little
call them, the little,
puppets.
paper-looking figures, Once again, them being cool with the animation, making things unique. And I also liked how it was in that moment, where Sayaka dropped the apple and then Kyoko comes up and like starts choking
Oh,
her,
yeah.
like, don't ever waste food in my presence.
Don't waste my apple.
Because we'd seen her just eating food all the time
like
earlier,
to
and you didn't quite get
eat
why. But her
apples
backstory.
and bananas.
Are you just the song guy for today, Matt?
Yes, he
Sorry.
is.
I haven't been on the show for so long. I have to bring music, and we didn't do a musical intro, so I have to make it musical. So you can call it the
What were you gonna
Magical
say,
Madoka
Andrew?
musical.
I was
Sorry.
going to say, I thought it was interesting because I thought they were like slowly alluding to the fact that like she was like starving to death before like maybe she wished for like food or something, or like her family was starving because she was always eating. I'm like, I thought that's where they were going with that, and then they do the church thing. I'm like, wow, that took kind of a different turn.
They didn't have a lot of food.
They didn't have
so
a
that's
lot of food.
why she
Well, right.
had her father.
That's why she depended on it. And I also liked how, when Sayaka basically completely refuses her request, her advice basically to not make this, well, it was too late for her to go back on the wish at that point. She was basically saying, just get your money's worth, look out for number one. Don't be so self-destructive and like your goal to try to save everyone. It's only going to end badly, basically. And she's just like, nope, I'm still going to be noble and I'm better than you. Oh, by the way, I'm guessing you stole those apples, didn't you? And she's sort of like, you found out. And she refuses those apples and just walks away. And Kyoko gets mad and takes an angry bite. It's very dramatic, almost like the potato chip eating scene from Death Note.
I will eat a potato chip. Crunch.
Take this potato chip
Crunchitize me,
and
Captain.
eat it. With epic Death Note, awesome orchestra music in the background.
But like when was this episode? I forget what episode it is where Sayaka like just blows up at Madoka.
That's the episode after.
It
But
just it kind of like hit home for me because I've kind of been in Madoka's position where I'm like, oh hey, I've been here for you through your entire life and all your hardships, and when I need you to listen to me, you blow up in my face because I haven't been there your whole life giving you advice and making sure you were okay. I guess cool. I guess I didn't mean anything.
Right.
So I just got like doubly mad at Sayaka because I'm like, you're bringing back angry memories.
that was something interesting I thought of, because with Sayaka and Madoka, as soon as she finishes saying it, Sayaka's running off and she's saying like, why did I say that? I hurt my best friend.
She's
I'm the worst
too
type of
prideful.
person. Too proud, yeah. But I was thinking though, because obviously Madoka was looking for Sayaka all over the city after that. If she had managed to find her before she went all witch, I think Madoka could have saved her, like brought her back from the abyss.
The
If she
thing
had
is,
a heart with her.
It's skipping ahead a lot, but I mean, Sayaka turns into a witch no matter what. Like, we've seen that in every single time Homura goes back in time. Sayaka always becomes a witch.
That's true.
So I feel like nothing anyone could have done could have stopped that. Because even when Madoka was a magical girl and Sayaka didn't feel that alienation from her, she still became a witch.
Right. Well, that's because
destined.
In the end, Sayaka, like even because there's even a timeline where mommy is still alive.
Yeah, near the end of it, they're all talking about Sayaka because like Kyoko was just talking about how they had to be. She's like, it sucks, we're just becoming friends.
Yeah.
She had
Well,
to go.
yeah, that was the last episode after Madoka's wish.
But
one bit I did want to talk about with Sayaka that's pretty important is in that episode, where Kyoko reveals her whole backstory, and then they go to school and Hitomi sees Kyosuke there, and then she's like, okay, hey, we should talk, and I know Kenny feels a little bit differently than me about this, but at least I sort of thought that Hitomi, even though she was still sort of being a jerk, going after Sayaka's girl, at least she was, or girl, her boyfriend,
Man
want
guy.
want to be boyfriend. At least she was being kind enough to basically say, like, I know that you like this guy, that you have feelings for him, and I'm giving you first dibs, basically.
She gave her an ultimatum, but I just was mad about Psycho more because she seriously, get over the fact you're a zombie. You still have a body and it works and you're fine. You can go be with this dude.
Maybe it might have made her feel happy and less
Yeah,
depressed
actually not.
during that whole
Which,
time.
what if there's a storyline or a timeline she did do that? This is just the one she
Maybe
did.
maybe he would have totally been like, "That's amazing that you gave this wish for me." Because I feel like if she was like, "Hey,
Well, but
Hey,
Well,
we
he was
just
kind of a
met
jerk,
you.
so...
Well, we
This is
saw
crazy.
we saw what happened when Kyoko told her dad the
for me.
truth.
no," he found out somehow.
Well, that's true, but point being, probably that would bring up a lot of questions like, okay, well, you have like these magical powers and you don't have a soul, like that might make relationships
You just
kind of
conveniently
difficult.
lived that part out.
Don't yeah, the thing is, somebody told me they wish for me to get better. That would be the best thing ever. Be like, thanks, let's go get
Thanks.
married, and she'd be like, cool, I never age.
It's better than
Let's get married.
But I'm also
I couldn't
got,
move
like,
in
2
my
years.
real life, so please marry
Nice.
me, blue-haired guy, because I'm pink-haired chick.
Yeah, we talked about that. It has some problems. We agree with
You
you,
know
in that
what?
regard.
I ship it. So
but
come and take on my armada.
But I've heard a lot of people compare like the stuff that happens in Madoka Magica and the wishes and stuff to sort of a
Which is
Buddhist
blue.
philosophy because
Karma.
I don't fully understand it, but what they're trying to reach, is sort of like this state of perfect like selflessness, like not even not caring about yourself, just doing good for good's own sake, rather than doing good for a selfish reason, And unfortunately for Sayaka, even though she is doing a good thing by healing Kyosuke, she's doing it for a selfish reason because she's expecting, to be able to get in a relationship with
Like,
him,
get
even
something
though
in return.
even though he doesn't even know the truth, and he'll never know unless she tells him, which would lead
won't
to
happen because she's dead.
exactly. She didn't realize the truth about like what being a magical girl really meant. But that's what sort of really tips her over the edge, And then later in that episode, we get definitely my favorite of the designs of the witch realms. The really what's it called? The outlines, like the shadowy silhouettes. And you just see Sayaka going crazy, like getting stabbed, but she's like, I don't feel the pain anymore. Ah, crazy laugh,
Just
blood.
slashing.
Oh, yeah, I
Crazy
remember that.
sword
That was really,
play.
that was really cool.
I was like, Sayaka, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Sayaka,
Matt, what did you think about that
stop.
just from an animation perspective? Because personally, that was like one of my favorite
I mean,
moments.
one of the animation, like I said, this series has so many parts. Like, personally, my favorite animation spot, and we've already seen it on here, is that whole fight in the alleyway between Hungry Girl and Sword Girl.
Right.
But
Sigh.
Okay, I guess you don't have much to say about it.
I mean, the elements that I liked the most were near the beginning of this series, as far as animation-wise. Though, I mean, it got better. I mean, the series.
I don't know. Skipping ahead a little bit, but I personally thought that the fight between Homura and the Walpurgis Knight, whatever it's called,
I can't
was
say
really
it either.
amazing.
Flabberjacket.
it looked
I just
vaguely
called it
German.
Wallapalooga or
But it
something
looked
like that.
vaguely German.
I think it was the Whoppersnacht or something like that.
Well, it's apparently a name of like a German festival of some sort. Like I don't think it's modern. I think it's like from the Middle Ages or something. But it has an
The
actual.
festival's coming to
But
town.
why?
It's not so bad.
Why a German?
And it rips
festival?
up all
Is
the
that
buildings.
symbolism
I
there?
love how Cube or whoever was like, yeah, they'll just think it's a natural disaster.
Yeah,
like
like
as
an
buildings
earthquake.
are floating.
And
And
shooting, like, it's just a super earthquake with the buildings flying and the people dying and the
It-
little girls
it
flying.
is, remember, it is Japan, so they have to deal with Godzilla on a
Thank you
monthly
for the
basis.
bill.
Please tell me
Tasteless.
Godzilla is a magic girl just in the form of, like, giant lizard.
It's a witch.
It's a witch.
Godzilla was a witch.
Godzilla's a good guy.
Burn
Godzilla
the
was
witch.
not a witch. Godzilla
Burn the witch.
clearly is the first magical girl.
Not the Scarlet Letter.
He just
Oh,
never
no.
died.
I hate
The
it.
first magical girl just happened to be a sad
And the thing that made me mad is what pushed her over
I
is
want people to notice me.
the two worst human beings in, like, Japan were on the bus talking to her before she came to a witch.
No, I definitely felt that too. Like they
were horrible.
It's actually questionable whether or not that's actually like real or whether this is like in Sayaka's
just
head.
her. Yeah, because this is
Yeah,
when she
because
goes
they're
witch.
just
I
so.
think it's real because they're like, wait, why are you out so late?
I know, but I don't know. Those two were just like the over the top, like worst possible human beings she could have run into at this delicate state of mind she was in.
This is where Cuba gets shot in the mouth.
Okay, no, I saw this thing on Tumblr. It was like the Madoka drinking game, and one of them was every time Cube's face fills the entire screen, take a shot.
Ooh, I gotta play that game.
They do that a lot. One thing I wanted to mention that when we were watching it with Kenny, I found quite funny in episode 6 or whatever it was. After Sayaka refuses Kyoko's request, she says, "What did she say?"
F you.
No, she doesn't quite say that. Oh, she says, she's saying, "I love my wish. I don't think there's any problems with it.
gonna love my
There's
wish."
no way I'll ever regret it." And it's like 2 episodes later, not so much.
You're gonna like it, and I guarantee it.
You're gonna love my wish. Come on, well, bam,
I
bam.
was just sort of laughing evilly at that point. Yeah, but then we move on to the episode 8, I believe it is.
Are we gonna go through episode by episode by episode by episode by episode?
Well, I'm moving through them quicker now, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
But
Good job.
now I'm forgetting what it was. Oh, right, and then that's where we get the Madoka Sayaka argument. Which is definitely sort of her lowest point for us. Because Madoka was her only true friend, and she's like, if you actually cared about me, you would become a magical girl and take this suffering away from me.
You could have saved mommy and all that.
Well, that was weird for her because she had something was weird between her and Homura. 'Cause she's like, Homura purposefully stayed away, and let mommy die. It's like, are you forgetting about the part where mommy wrapped her up and forced her to not follow them?
Yeah, I remember that part where she's completely bound. The more you struggle, the harder it tightens.
I
It's
know.
like, I don't want you to get hurt, but don't struggle. It just sounds
It was a little creepy. Yeah, and then we get this whole scene, where Kyubey almost gets Madoka to make a wish and
This is the
to
best,
save
though.
Sayaka.
Because at first I was so mad the whole show. I'm like, just become a magical girl. But when I found out the truth, I was like, I'm so glad she shot him in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah. And
This-
this is where, this is interesting because this is the first time that Homura really shows some emotion, and you sort of get this feeling that oh wow, she has some reason to really care about Madoka, even though she's barely interacted with him.
But I
It's
just
like
her.
through the whole series, you see Homura biting her tongue and just being like,
she clenches her fist. They show
"I
you.
can't
on
tell
purpose.
you.
Right.
I can't tell you why,
Why can't
I'm
she
here
tell you?
because they don't believe me."
Yeah, the thing is, she said she tried it before, and nobody believed her, and it shows when she tried
Oh,
it
yeah,
before, and
that's right.
nobody believed her. Because the thing is, you see in the beginning, I didn't know it was a flashback. I should have been really nervous. And I'm like, is she dreaming? Because she had the glasses on. I'm like, no, she's that confident that. And I realized, oh, that was her first of 18 tries
Right.
trying to save the future.
And then she's like, "Give me hugs, man. You're my best friend." And
I just like her wish though. It's like I want to protect you this time.
I know.
I was like,
See,
dang girl.
That's one of the things I didn't get though was why was it so hard for them to accept time travel? I mean, they were fighting witches with magic.
They didn't have a microwave.
Well, it wasn't so much that she was a time traveler. It would be her saying, okay, all these terrible things are the truths about, how magical girls work. Kyubey is evil. Your soul is in the soul gem. And, oh, by the way, magical girls are what creates witches. And everyone's going to become a witch. And we saw what happened when Mommy learned that little truth.
Well, see, the thing is, at this point, I thought the doctor's just gonna step out and be like, "All right, this is where things get weird, guys," and it cuts off the episode.
Get excited because it's gonna get weird.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Homer is so tragic.
I know. Well,
There she is being tragic.
Yeah, right there.
And this was one of the really,
Look at that.
really Kyubey with the evil red eyes.
I'm
And,
gonna make a Tumblr
and it
called
comes and
Creepy
eats its own
Kyubey.
corpse. It's like,
Yeah, he consumes it. I require nutrients.
But you never see his mouth move. How is it eating?
Don't
You'll
rush
never
it.
know.
Absorb
Do you
them.
want to see that?
yeah, who knows? Maybe the inside of its mouth is like a black hole abyss of like evil and
I imagine
despair.
We're
Alien-
up to 3 shots. 3 shots.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Look
we're
how
playing that
cute
game.
it is. I can't. It's so cute, but it's not cute. But
It's so evil.
Although
another
it,
shot.
it does beg the
4.
question for me of
We're
Oh my
drunk.
God.
why, Homura kills Kyubey here, and he even says like, "This is the second time you've killed me." But it makes me question
This
why
is the
was
second time I've died.
why was she trying to kill Kyubey, in the first episode? Because if she knew that Kyubey apparently has these unlimited number of host bodies, and killing one of them really doesn't do anything.
Maybe because
Unlimited power.
she knew it was gonna go after Madoka that day, so it's like I need to delay. I need to delay.
I know, but seeing, Homura chasing Kyubey is what made Madoka wary of Homura in the first place.
It's eat a lot, girl.
Sayaka.
Oh yes, and this is Sayaka turning the witch scene. And I didn't quite until the scene on the train, between the two guys, and Sayaka turns all black witchy looking, witch realm looking. I didn't cue in on the whole like magical girls becoming witches thing, but Kenny was able to pick up on it earlier in that episode.
It all fell together when they showed the things flashing. I was like, ooh.
It was like Connect
See-
4.
Right now is when Cuba should have come in and been like, let the hate flow through you. And then she becomes like the witch.
Through you.
And then like you hear someone go,
Feed off your anger.
and
The
then,
thing is,
To
like,
the dark side.
I feel like when she was fighting all these witches, she was like, psh, grief seeds, whatevs. It's like she just didn't care anymore.
she was
Like,
dumpy.
you never see her pick up a grief seed. Like, after...
Seriously, one grief seed would save her right now. So,
I know.
you know what they should have
One.
done? You know, juked her up, like, catch. She'd be like, crap, and then caught it in an accident. They would have touched her thing and been like, whoops, you're safe. Sorry.
But, like, I feel like if they gave it to her, she'd be like, nah, man.
Or what if she's asleep? Can you do it then? Because all you have to do is touch it. And that's it. Because you know when Madoka did it to Hamura, she just like forced it on her.
Okay,
almost.
no, I saw something, and the grief seed that Sayaka became is the one that she used to purify Homura's soul gem.
Oh my.
Wait.
That's really depressing.
oh,
It had
so
the same moon shape
interesting.
because they all look different.
like that one.
I didn't realize that. One thing I do find interesting about.
Oh man.
Oh gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, right, because in the next episode after this, we see Sayaka in her witch form, and
It's so cool.
It is really cool. Like the animation there is like
She has her
gorgeous.
sword. It takes the characteristics of that person, obviously. But
Yeah, and you got the whole orchestra thing going on, and there's even a shot of someone who looks an awful like Kyosuke, like playing the violin.
Yeah.
And so even when she was a magical girl, like when she would do her transformations, you saw these musical notes, like circling around her.
Another shot.
So it definitely seems like what you wish on influences like your powers. Just of how she healed faster because she made a healing wish and all that.
Yeah.
But
That was pretty neat.
It was devastating in that whole scene to see like Madoka arriving, and they're carrying her dead body, and she's just like, "What happened? Oh no!" Sayaka's dead. And then we get the whole bit where Kyoko sort of going very different from how her character had been earlier, very logical, and self-preservation oriented. She asks Kyubey, if it's possible, for them to save Sayaka. And that's another situation where Kyubey is being very cautious with his words because he doesn't say...
Cryptic metaphor.
he says that there are things I don't even know, and magical girls defy logic, so theoretically anything is possible.
That's when you punch him in the mouth and say, tell me what I need to know.
And that sort of gave Kyoko enough, like, to think, okay, we can go do this, we can save her. And then later on, Kyubey's like, yeah, there was no chance of that happening.
He's the worst.
He
He is kind of.
See, I didn't believe you at first. You guys kept warning me. I'm like, no, look at him. He's a little, oh God.
He's a little angel.
The spawn of hell.
Pretty
come
much.
On Earth.
The cutest little Satan you've ever seen.
I'm just going to point
Although-
out, I saw a little mark on there in your sheet, Alex.
Oh?
That said, is Kyubey truly evil?
Well, that's a whole bit, because I after I finished watching this series, I went on, actually there's a Madoka Magica wiki, and they have these articles that people have written up just like on analyzing the show, and one of them was quite a long one, basically on Kyubey's philosophy and looking at various philosophies of altruism, which is basically this philosophy like, if the ends justify the means, basically. If it's for a good end, then evil things can happen as long as the result is for the greater good.
Yeah, I
sort
mean,
of thing.
it fits
For
the
the
whole thing
greater
that
good.
sacrificing one species to save billions of others. I mean, you could see that's a good thing, but at the same time, you are exploiting one species, which is ascending, which is ours. So we have a
But
little
that
more
species is,
us. So, but see, say if you heard from another example, like we heard another species being exploited to save us, you'd be like, heck yeah, kill them so we can live.
This is the bit I had been talking to you about earlier, Jeremy. When I was telling you about there being a scientific thing, going on in Madoka.
He's an alien.
This is the episode where Kyubey basically explains, magical girls turning into witches creates this energy that defies the laws of thermodynamics, and they use that energy and somehow store it in order to counteract entropy and at least slow down the heat death of the universe.
Once I heard thermodynamics, I cringed a bit because every engineer, like Jeremy here, as he sinks in his chair, would do what Jeremy's doing here.
Well, and
Yes.
I
any man or
also
woman of science.
He's melting.
also on that wiki there was
I'm waiting for the opinions.
some science person obviously went out and sort of looked up like numbers on this whole thing, and apparently if they were trying to stop how do they explain it here exactly? It says to maintain the energy density of the universe, it would require about 3.3 times 10 to the 52 50-second power joules of like energy. And he basically is saying like this is assuming like one magical girl for every 1,000 people for 7 million magical girls, and this is like enough energy to destroy like the entire galaxy basically, like with a gamma burst of radiation, like ridiculous levels of power. Yeah, I know, Matt. We went over this earlier. The podcast is fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But it's like, I feel like it would depend on the magical girl, though, because Madoka, when she turned into the witch, it was like the greatest witch of all time.
Right. Well, that's why
She's a mountain.
in Homura's one of Homura's past, Kyubey is basically willing to sacrifice everyone on Earth and any future potential for energy from magical girls, basically because Madoka's is just so ridiculously powerful.
Like, Earth's gonna be destroyed in about 10 days, I predict. Cool stuff.
Yeah, she'll take her about 2 weeks.
Your thoughts, Jeremy?
Why?
I don't know. To a non-sciencey person like me, it makes some sense.
It does make sense,
We're
but
trying to
it's
stop-
not.
Okay, let's
Because he
let's
doesn't
start right
comprehend
from the beginning, shall we?
emotions.
Okay, let's hear this.
Trying to stop the heat death of the universe.
It could have a great cooldown. There's a lot of different things the universe can end by.
And they don't go into the specifics about this. Personally, I think they're more slowing down, like pushing the heat death of the universe farther away, because it would be like almost impossible to stop it completely.
The problem with doing that is, though, the heat death of the universe is literally trillions of years in the future.
Right.
There's such a thing as being overly preemptive, and then there's this. This is just being stupid. That is. My head hurts so much from what you just said. I'm not even kidding.
Well, maybe they're closer to the end in their universe. Yeah. That's the only excuse I can think of.
Because they never say that they're in the Milky Way.
Okay.
True.
It
Here's
could
my
be in some
counter
other
argument.
random galaxy.
If you have the ability to travel between universes, just go to a fresh universe.
Well,
You're putting way too much effort into saving.
They like their universe.
But-
They don't
and-
like change.
and they never say that they have the power to travel between universes. They're stuck in this universe. And I guess my counteraction to that, once again, this is all speculation because we know really very little about Kyubey's race other than that they're these emotionless, super powerful beings.
that eat things with their backs.
But maybe because like the universe at this point is what, like 6 trillion years old, something like that?
No, nowhere near that.
What is it?
It's only like
Or-
13 billion years.
Or yeah, it's
Something
only
like that.
billions.
Yeah, because Earth
It's
has
only
been 4.2
in
billion.
the billions.
Yeah, I know. Last time I saw it was 13 billion. Don't think it's changed much since then.
Probably not. So you're saying it's like this heat death of the universe thing is trillions of years in the
It's
future?
like, I think I don't know. The Earth's supposed to. I mean, sorry. The
The
sun's
Earth will be-
supernovaing in like 400 billion, 500 billion years.
No. The sun will not.
Good
supernova.
thing we
It's not
won't
big
be
enough to
alive.
Well, I mean,
supernova.
it's
It'll
gonna-
collapse in on itself and probably become a brown
Right.
dwarf.
In a couple hundred billion, or 100
But
billion
I
years.
guess how Kyubey would say it, I think, is like that.
How a fictional character would tell us.
Apparently, in this universe, there are multiple races throughout the universe that are using like energy and
So
such.
we haven't
But that
found
doesn't
yet.
speed it up.
Mass Effect.
That doesn't speed it up. Unless
name
you're
is
using
Captain
literally enough
Shepard.
energy to equal to thousands and thousands and thousands of suns, you're not gonna speed it up.
Because Madoka is Madoka, and she's a loophole.
Okay.
But again, if you have the ability to create energy, just leave in the first place because you are literally God at that point.
right.
Kami-sama.
Well, but how Kyubey explains it though is that they
Right
can't.
here, actually.
They are beings that have no emotion. They think like emotion is like a mental disease, and they found this race of people called humans who create these emotions, and then they use magical girls who are like at their most vulnerable age, of like young girls at the age of 14, 13, whatever.
Safe.
You know,
Turn
what,
them
this sounds like? This sounds
wanna
like
be
they're all
magical girl?
pedophiles.
Well,
that
basically,
are targeting young girls at their most vulnerable.
Basically, the only way to create energy that they know of is through the transformation from a magical girl into a witch.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
Have
that's
they
the
They
only
are
tried
literally-
solar?
They are breaking one of the most.
Yes.
They are breaking one of the most basic. No, they are breaking the basic law of thermodynamics. If you can do that, the rest of the laws of physics fall apart because you are You are literally doing something that can't be done.
Right. Well, Cuba even says that magical girls defy logic, and that's why they study them and work with them so much because
it's not logical.
Then here's my other point I'm bringing up though. Again, his argument about solving the heat death of the universe is really, really stupid because again, that's no.
What if he's just insane and none of it's true and Cube just made it up?
it's possible.
He's just granting wishes because he can. There's no proof that he has a race or he's doing any of this. He could just be doing it just to mess with everyone. He could be God, just messing with everybody.
Well, actually,
Could
what
be.
I thought they were building up to was that he was like Satan.
That's what I thought too when I saw him was like Satan.
Because he keeps like making them sign contracts and selling basically their
And he's got
souls
red
to him.
eyes.
Right.
So I'm like,
Right, but as far as like when I was reading this whole thing on altruism and stuff, it points out that Cube does have rules that it follows. Like, if he was a true altruist, it wouldn't matter what he did, in order to get the results of signing contracts with these girls, turning them into magical girls, and making them become witches. In this case, not only does he grant them a wish, but their consent is required. He can't force them to become magical girls. So he does have some rules and restrictions that keep it from being completely amoral.
And depending on the magical girl's potential, he can only do so much.
Right.
Madoka did her magical amazing wish.
Right.
But
Well,
Sayaka could never pull that
It
off.
seems like Cube is a creature that's both all-powerful and powerless at the same time because somehow it's able to grant the wishes of these girls, but beyond that, it can't interfere in any of their duels. It just sort of has all this knowledge, but it can't actually do anything.
And it can never die.
Beyond that, really.
I'd like to point this out though. This is the real reason this bothers me, and I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up. This is not the first time I've heard the human battery story.
What do you mean?
oh no.
You know
I know,
exactly.
yeah, I know where you're
going
going with that. No, we're not talking about that. That's a different can of worms.
Matrix.
I know.
Matrix.
I know.
Matrix.
That's a different can of worms.
I
We
remember.
break out.
Do you remember the Matrix, Alex?
I've seen the first one and the second one.
Okay.
What second
You remember that scene? Well, why do the machines keep us alive? It's human batteries.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
We don't
Okay,
tell
I
that
was
to us.
11 when I saw that, and that was my reaction.
It's so inefficient.
It is.
It doesn't work. It's part of the problem. For those of
We
you
can
who
give
don't
out a
know,
little bit of energy,
human
but not even.
No, we don't get back any energy. We take the amount of energy.
All
required
living
to
things
keep-
take energy.
No, yes, thank you, Matt. The amount of energy that a human being takes in far exceeds any energy it releases.
Well, that's the thing. We give
Well,
just stuff
and-
for a snippet, not even, so it's not even worth
So
it.
the amount of energy they would be pouring into us, most of it they couldn't even use.
Right.
It'd be more of a torture device more than anything
Well,
else.
and that makes sense in the Matrix. I agree that that's a big plot hole. But with Madoka, he doesn't care about the normal humans. All of this
It's the magic.
entropy stuff is basically based on this theory that, as you say, breaks the laws of physics. That this transformation from magical girl into witch creates energy that breaks the laws of thermodynamics. Basically, that's what this whole argument is built
Honestly,
on.
I wish they hadn't done that. Now that you know what, the story would have been much better if oh yeah, do you know why I'm doing this? Cause it's fun.
Yes.
I don't know. At least from taking the actual science of it out of it, for me, just looking at it from a story perspective, it gives Cube he has a reason for what he does, and you can sort of understand why he's doing it. It's not like he's completely evil, like we've said.
That being said, though, I haven't seen the entire series yet. So if I watch it through, there's a good chance I can probably just ignore it. The problem becomes, if a show is either silly enough or it's good enough, I won't care if they start to get stuff like that wrong. I do have suspension of disbelief. It's actually pretty good. But if a show is not doing a good job of keeping my attention, I start to notice stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Or spacing from Gurren Lagann.
That one, that was that one point. It's
It's too much.
it's too much.
All right.
Wait, what were we talking about on Gurren Lagann?
So episode 12.
That's when the super dense space is
Oh,
invading
yeah,
their
yeah.
ship.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, the
It doesn't
ocean.
make sense.
The ocean space.
All
yeah,
right,
that
so
thing.
we've got about 11 minutes before logic crashes on us, so we'll go through the last part of the show pretty quickly.
Homura.
Yes, personally for me, I obviously like Madoka Magica quite a lot. What might be my favorite, two of my favorite episodes are definitely in this last portion, because the last episode I think is brilliant, and then Homura's episode 10. Personally, I think even though it's only a single episode, And compared to like, you know, the tragic backstories of like some of the characters from One Piece, you know, or these series that have, you know, dedicate multiple episodes, you know, to these characters' backstories and stuff, they still do a really good job in a single episode of making Homura one of those like tragic characters out there, you know, just forcing her to repeat this over and over again. And when you really look at it, the best ending for Madoka and Homura happened in the first timeline, you know, because Madoka defeated Walpurgis Night, but died in the process, basically sacrificing herself to beat her. But she didn't become a witch; she just died. You know.
But Madoka was Homura's only friend, though. So
I know, but then in the other timelines, things get worse. You know, she becomes a witch. You know, or Homura is forced to kill her before she becomes a witch. You know,
that was the hardest one.
Yeah, that one in particular was like.
Because it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to heal you, and then you go back in time and make me never make a contract with Kyubey.
Right. Yeah, and then and just the stuff they do, like with her like developing her ability, because I do think hers is really cool. You know, with just how she stops time and then uses guns and explosions.
She uses rifles
and
she
stuff.
takes from like surplus areas. That was awesome. The fact she had like rocket launchers, RPGs, grenades. She made her own bombs, which messed things up for a while.
Yeah. So
it was cute though. She was trying so hard.
Yeah, and how she, you know, after she learned the truth, you know, about how magical girls work, like you said, she tried to warn everyone, but nobody believed her, you know, until they learned it for themselves the hard way.
Yeah, and I mean, the cool thing is she had that awesome bag of holding on her arm, so she could hold every single thing she ever wanted in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I didn't fully
It's
understand that.
She can
but
travel through
whatever.
time. I think she has a dimensional arm portal.
Wait.
She had hammer space.
Wait. So she had her own pocket dimension on her.
Yep.
And could travel through time with it.
And she could travel through time.
And freeze time with it.
And Kyubey was trying to stop entering.
Well,
Da, da.
the whole pocket dimension thing is a very minor thing. She's just somehow able to store all this stuff in her little glove thing.
The time travel. You know what? No, I'm not going to even get into that.
No, the thing is, she got the time travel so she can go back in time and save Madoka.
Like
that was the whole idea of it.
Her wish, basically, that she made with Kyubey was that she would have the power to save Madoka, and in order to do that, she needed to travel back in time. So.
I'm having a brain aneurysm now.
I might have to be there to when Jeremy eventually watches these later episodes, so he doesn't like shoot the TV in rage.
Oh please! I wouldn't damage my own property.
Well, maybe you'd come and shoot my TV then.
I'm stupid, but I'm not. I mean, I'm stupid, but I'm greedy too. So
yeah, it's small, but it's HD, which is nice. And then after Madoka,
century, Alex.
I know, right? After Homura, you know, kills Madoka, like that's like the ultimate low that she can sort of sink to, and then she's all serious and, you know, ties up her hair in that way and is like, I'm just gonna be cold and calculated, you know, from here on, and I'm gonna, no matter how many times I have to re-go through these same, you know, months of events, I'm gonna save you.
But it had to have been so difficult for her. Like, I didn't realize, like, when we're first watching it through and you see her like cringing, it's like, what's your problem?
Right.
Why are you doing that?
Why are you so not tickle?
I know.
And then you realize she wants to say something. It's like, have we met before? Or it's like,
yeah,
that was a breaking point.
Yeah. And then I also, the other, like, the 2 poignant moments really from that whole backstory was when Homura had to kill Madoka, and then when they finished defeating Sayaka and learned the whole witch thing, and Mommy just completely snaps and starts killing them all. You know, saying that if they're going to become witches, then it's better that they die now. You know, and then Madoka has to kill Mommy.
No.
And all sorts of sadness is going on.
all the sad.
And then we get to episode 11, which is basically Walpurgis Night is coming. You know, Madoka gets her whole vision of, oh, well, this is the history of magical girls, Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, you know, all of that.
That was like harsh.
Yeah. And she's forced to face the reality of
just
like,
remember, kids, if you're a woman, you can't do anything by yourself. You have to be given magical powers.
I'm gonna punch you in the nose.
and then
that sounded like the moral of the story to me.
Not exactly, but we'll move on beyond that. And then like I said, I really love the fight between Homura and Walpurgis Night. You know, just all the crazy explosions, animation, beautiful there.
She had a submarine with like 9 nuclear missiles, but huge missiles launched. She used a submarine, and she used a gas truck and RPGs
and thousands of mines.
Yeah,
the
But
C4.
for our listeners, though, I'm not a misogynist. That I was just pointing out. That's what it sounds like to me.
Please don't sue us for all the copyright music we're
And then
using.
I also liked how, she sort of comes to
Ringo
this decision and sort of stands up to her mom and is like, no, I have to do this. This is for the best for all of you.
I can't
even
believe her
though I
mom
can't-
let her go.
Yeah, well, I think, we skipped over the bit where her mom was talking with the teacher and was like,
They
sort of
grow up
talking
so
about,
fast.
talking about her growing up and stuff. So this was sort of Madoka coming into her own age, I guess.
Because she was like, yeah, I'll just grow up really fast for you.
Right.
And then it happened, and she was like, oh, wait, no.
Yeah, and then we move on to episode 12, the final episode, and which is
Madoka becomes God.
at least for me personally, like I've thought about this quite a bit, and it's like I honestly can't think of like a way the show could have ended that would have been better than how Gen Urobuchi did it. Because if
Maybe have Madoka live.
But if you think about it, I'll be quick about this. Basically, you've set up this pretty tragic show, and you've got, a few ways you can go with the ending. You can either have some sort of really happy ending where everyone lives, Madoka lives, everyone's happy, but then you've ruined all the stuff you've built up before that about it being a tragic show, and you've sort of betrayed your audience. And you could make it a super tragic ending, but number one, that would be a big bummer. And number two, you've already seen a lot of that in Homura's past, with Madoka becoming a witch and all these terrible things happening. So it would feel like it would just be feel really pointless
It'd
and
be
like
too much.
nothing good was accomplished if Madoka died or became a witch or something like that happened in episode 12. So it had to be something between that, something that was sad, but yet that changed the system and changed the world enough in order to save people and make it a happy ending in some ways. And that's what ends up happening. And it's awesome. At least for me, when I was watching it the first time, I was like just amazed at how he accomplished it, and just watching Madoka's wish sort of come true.
I think the best part is when it's like, oh, she has enough good in the world to like create a universe, but then also enough to destroy a world. But then she's like, nope,
And
I'm gonna
breaks
get rid of
that.
all this.
Well, because basically she even says like that her wish is, to destroy all magical girls with her own hand, and she even says there like, even if my wish really comes true, then even I don't have a reason to fear, and it sort of creates this paradox where she's sort of died and become a witch, yet she still exists and destroys her own witch, thus creating this paradox where she doesn't exist, and she's sort of this commanding force of the universe rather
But
than an
Homura
individual.
still knows, which makes me so upset.
Pretty much. Well, it's better than her forgetting about her completely,
I think it would be better that way.
Well,
I mean,
it
less painful.
I guess. But I think if she forgot about Madoka, that would ruin like her whole reason for living
Yeah.
and all that.
I like how she remembers like everything about witches, and now they have these like wraith things going on.
Right.
That are like computer
Which
virus
I
looking.
also like because like, witches are gone, but evil still exists in the world.
And like
it's not
now
like
they're all men,
evil is all gone. Right. Which,
and they all look the same.
yeah, which is a little weird, but whatever.
They all look
And then
creepy.
And what finally, before we wrap this up, what did you guys think of the post-credit sequence in the last episode, which is obviously supposed to be very confusing and leave it up to interpretation for the audience?
There's a post-credit sequence.
Yeah, where Homura's like walking through a desert and there's giant wraiths
Oh,
in front
yeah,
of her
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
sorry.
that. Did you guys not see that?
She's just gonna fight
I
it?
saw it.
Like, was there anything past that? She's just gonna fight him.
Well, yeah, but it's like there's a lot of questions like, where is she? Is that like the end of the world she's at? Why does she sprout those wings that have like the witch's realm stuff in them? She's using Madoka's bowl. She hears Madoka's voice in her head. There's a lot of just random stuff they pile
I
on
just
you
thought it
and
was
don't
cool
explain.
that I thought just like, oh, it's a new universe. She has new powers. It's a new thing. Maybe they embrace the witch inside them because everything has good and evil. So the karmatic energy is just they have that ability too. And the guy, she's just in a desert fighting them because that's where they're at. And she got the bow because Madoka may have gave it to her.
Well, the witch's stuff.
That's what I said. I could have mixed in because the whole good and bad inside of you. Maybe
I
that's how the
guess.
new universe treats it. I didn't
Or
think
maybe
it was
that's
weird at
like her
all.
new power or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was just. I just accepted it as cool. She's gonna kill
With
him.
your powers combined, I am Captain Planet.
She
All
kind
right.
of said that.
Pretty much. So,
I liked it though.
yeah,
It
so
was
we're running
pretty
out
neat.
of time for this podcast, unfortunately. We've been going for a while. So thank all of you guys for being on this episode.
Thanks.
I think in general, all of us seem to agree that Madoka is a good show. I would say it's a great show. Matt
It's good.
would probably
It's
say
good.
it's good. What?
You just called it Madoka.
Madoka Magica.
I give
Whatever.
a solid
I'm-
96.
I'm losing my mind, people. I'm sorry.
The Twilight Zone.
You can look forward to next week when we talk about the film Summer Wars. We're planning on watching that this weekend, podcasting on it next week. So it's going to be awesome. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of Shred Cels, episode 22 on Madoka Magica, and we'll see you guys in a week. Bye.
Now, Kiss.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2012.